everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sovereign Citizen Saturday. How are y'all doing? Hope you're having a good weekend so far. It's been a day. As we discovered last night, unfortunately, the boy that we took in and are fostering had fleas. We had to go get a bunch of flea stuff, spray to, get rid of it in the house, as well as, of course, flea treatment and everything. So it's been a lot. How's everyone doing? Hope you're having a wonderful time. The boy has received a lovely little flea bath. He actually did pretty good. He was very calm. Was a good baby. He's doing better now. He's all dry. So yeah, that's what we've been up to today. How's everyone else doing? Hope you're doing good. We also had to get rid of their litter because it may be infested with fleas and buy all new litter. So if you want to help and donate towards that, use the tip link. We already bought it. Just, it was an unexpected expense. So anyway, with housekeeping out of the way and getting you up to date on what I've been up to, let's get into the Sovereign Citizens, shall we? We have tons of court stuff. We have a few traffic stops. Bunch of stuff to choose from. So, jump right into it. Let's start with this one. I don't know if you remember Eric Martin. Eric Martin has been to jail many times. He recently was found guilty of something he went to trial for. I don't remember exactly what the charges were, but he has been arrested yet again for unrelated charges. Let's check out how he's been doing.
All right, this is 242448 SM, the People versus Eric Martin. Mr. Martin, can you tell me your name?
Okay,
Reminder that he just lost a case over this. He just already went through a trial and tried all this sovereign citizen stuff, and it went nowhere, impeded him, and in fact, he was found guilty, and yet here he is, like a week later, arrested again, doing the same thing. I know that it's a colloquialism that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Not literally true, but I do see why you would call that activity insanity.
Recognize Mr. Martin. Mr. Martin, it's my understanding that Mr. Coots, an attorney, defense attorney, attempted to meet with you to go over your rights, and that you
That's cool, Lady Anne. I always like wax seals.
did not
They're very fancy.
want to meet with him. Is that correct? Yes or no?
well, at first I did, and then I kind of changed my mind. I'm still in the sense of not giving you guys the fraudulent presumption that you got jurisdiction over me.
Trying to not give them the fraudulent presumption that they have jurisdiction over you. Eric, they arrested you. You're in jail. Not for the first time. You were convicted recently of different charges. In what universe do they not have jurisdiction? They told the cops to come arrest you, and the cops did. They have jurisdiction. What are you talking about?
You don't. That's why I don't want to take it, but
So
I
no.
get kind of friends too because
I'm going to mute you so I can tell you your rights, Mr. Martin. I need you to listen. So here are your rights. You've been brought to court on an allegation of a bond violation. Specifically, you currently have a domestic violence case pending at this court in front of Judge Slavin, and on that case, the complainant is Kirk Martin. There was a no contact provision.
So he's back. He's back for violating a no contact order, aka basically a restraining order. So that's great. Just a peach, how you doing? Corax, how's it going?
And that was one of the conditions of bond. And there is an allegation that on December 14th, so just this weekend, that someone called from the residence of Kirk Martin and indicated you were in the home. And the officers alleged that you were,
To be clear, I think that's his brother, not positive, but if I'm remembering correctly, I think that's his brother he is continually getting into issues with. Also, I did notice the judge's name is Shackelford. Any King of the Hill fans, just thought I'd point that out. It is Judge Shackelford.
They checked and that you had bond conditions out of this court saying you weren't to be near him. And that you were taken into custody for violating your bond conditions of no contact with Kirk Martin. These are allegations at this time, but they're serious allegations in violation and no contact provision. So do you want me to enter a plea or do you just want to ramble about jurisdiction?
I wonder what he'll pick. Bumble Homestead with a $5 tip says, my child turned 15 today, getting a learner's permit when the Christmas break is over. I'm an old. Oh well, they're a good person at least. That's all you can ask for. Thank you for the tip.
I'm going to ask you to unmute so you can answer my question. Officer Ziegler, I'm sorry, can you unmute? Mr. Martin, you have options, so you understand that's what you're here on. You can plead guilty, not guilty, or you can say nothing and I'll enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. So,
AKA standing mute.
to the allegations that you violated the conditions of your bond for purposes of arraignment, how do you plead?
First one, notify crimes.
Okay, does that answer your question about if he just wants to ramble? It was immediate.
Before I get to that, I want to notify you of crimes committed against me in the jail here since I've been here, such as criminal harassment.
Okay, I'm going to enter
How are you being criminally harassed in the jail?
a not guilty.
Like, it's not, like, literally impossible. Like, a guard, in theory, could harass an inmate. I just, like, you've been there, like, a day. Like, if they had time to harass you?
Plea on your behalf.
I'm not done talking.
But your answer is not responsive.
Violating my First Amendment right, freedom of speech. And this whole bond order condition, it violates my due process right to be free at my house, which is based on an unsupported lying allegation by my brother. Therefore, this is all violation of my due process rights. The bond order should have never been done.
This is your due process. This is the process that you are due. What do you think due process is? Everyone just lets you do whatever you want? Would that be due process?
This is all unconstitutional. The case should be dismissed, and I demand it be dismissed. Now.
He demands it be dismissed now. Good attitude. That'll help.
All right, so sir, you have a right to a hearing on this matter. You have a right to receive written notice of the violation. You have a right to plead guilty, not guilty, or stand mute. I've entered a not guilty plea on your behalf since your response was non-responsive. You also have a right to contest the charges at a hearing.
Phyllis Filler says it's due process, as in, let me do my process.
And you do have the right to the assistance of an attorney at all subsequent court proceedings, and you can change your mind at any time, Mr. Martin. You have the right to have that a lawyer appointed at public expense if you are unable to afford an attorney. And it's always possible that if the court determines you were able to pay, that you would be required to contribute to that cost. If you continue to proceed without an attorney, you would give up your right to a lawyer's assistance. We will set the hearing. I'm required to set that hearing on that violation. If you are in custody, we must hold it within 14 days of the arraignment, which is
Nerdy says, imagine being a criminal and thinking, damn, I didn't know I could just tell the judge to let me go. That's what gets me about this belief. It's the audacity. Like, I don't understand their worldview and how they think it works. It's like there's a complete disconnect between how they think this works in their personal case and how the world functions. Does that make sense? It's like they don't think, well, if this worked for me, what would be the implications for everyone else in the entire system and the entire, like, country? They don't do that. It's a very myopic worldview, entirely focused on, like, them and their scenario and their specific situation and their view of themselves.
14 days from today, or the court must order you released pending that hearing. If the alleged violation is based on a new criminal offense that is set basis for separate criminal prosecution, I don't have any knowledge that that's the case here. The court could postpone the hearing for the outcome of that prosecution. You have a right to contest the allegations against you. You would have a right to have the evidence against you disclosed. You'd have the right to present at the hearing or to be present to present evidence and to examine and cross-examine witnesses. The court would only consider evidence that's relevant to the violation, but it need not apply the rules of evidence except those pertaining to privilege. The prosecuting attorney would have the burden of proving the violation by a preponderance of the evidence. If you pled guilty, you'd be giving up your right to a contested hearing. And while this case is pending, you could be the most severe violation is you could be held pending the hearing, and if found guilty of this violation, you could be held while this case is waiting for jury trial. So those are your rights, Mr. Martin. Mr. Martin, I understand your sovereign arguments. I mean, it's fine. You can make them. I've heard them before. Everyone at this court has heard them. But here's the thing. I can't have you, if there is a no contact order and you continue to violate the no contact order, I can't let you out because you're not listening. And I know you don't think you have because you don't.
How does a pro se litigator question themselves? I've seen sometimes they allow them to testify in a more open form rather than question answer. They allow them to sort of testify their version of things. But I don't know. Testifying is often not a good idea anyway. And I don't think it would help his case. Oh, thanks, Loki.
This is in accordance with the Constitution, and okay.
And the fact of the literally right to be home because of an unsupported lying allegation. I'm telling you right now, he told a lie. And I told the prosecutor my brother's son.
I really don't think they should do these Zoom court things, like, at the cells. Like, I'm even kind of questioning when they do it, like, in a separate room, but they're still, like, all in the prison stuff just because it can be prejudicial. And I'm not saying the judges are intentionally necessarily going like, this guy's already in a jail attire, fuck him. But, you know, people have innate biases, and if you're video calling a guy who's in a literal jail cell, I feel like you're going to have biases that might not exist if he was in front of you in a courtroom. Again, I think these judges are intelligent people, but everyone is subject to our, you know, unconscious biases. So I'm sure this is convenient for the jail and everything, but I don't know, at least take them to a separate room to look a little more professional, or at least neutral, than literally being in a prison cell or a holding cell at the jail.
Me, in actuality, first and foremost, he assaulted me. But I had no evidence of it. I don't have him on video evidence. He doesn't have me on video evidence to assault him. So we have my brother saying this, me saying this. We don't know what happened in reality. So the dumb cop should never arrest me. Prosecutors should not be moving forward on this. They're moving forward with it. It's already a malicious prosecution on the prosecutor's part. There's no probable cause because there's no evidence here. Bottom line, we don't know what happened. This is violating my due process rights. I'm being deprived of my freedom to be at the house I've been living at for 32 years. The bond order was legally should have never been ordered because it's based on, once again, unsupported lying allegation that has no video evidence, no real evidence to support it. The bond order must be dismissed. I'm supposed to be allowed to go back home and have a right to be. Doesn't matter how many lies are told.
Let me tell you your bond conditions, Mr. Martin. You're to appear in court as directed. All right.
Oh, I get it. He's not doing himself any favors. Like, even if he was in, like, a totally professional setting and he was wearing a suit, if he was saying the exact same things the same way, he would still come off as deranged, because he is, frankly, a little bit deranged in the sense that he believes something very strongly that is not true, and he is trying to get that across. That's always going to come across as a little deranged. But, like I'm saying, all the trappings and everything aren't helping him. He's not the only prisoner here who goes through this process. Everyone is. I can't hear any noise from the vacuum, no.
I'll mute you and read them, whether you like them or not.
Like, let's say it wasn't Eric Martin. Let's say it's another person. Let's say it's someone who was innocent, you know, but they got arrested for some reason. They're going to look worse by doing this through the thing. Again, this is just the arraignment, so it's, like, not probably the biggest deal in the world, but if someone's trying to determine, like, bond or something, this is already about a bond, like, a alleged bond, agreement breaking, like he didn't do what he was supposed to. But if it was an initial arraignment and they're working on what the bond conditions could be, you could make unbiased calls that would be worse off for the person.
These are your conditions, sir. So I'll just read them into the record and you can choose to listen or not listen. You're to appear in court as directed. You're not to leave the state without permission of the court. You're not to commit any new crimes while released. You're to immediately notify the court of change of address or phone number. Whether you like it or not, you're not to have any contact with Kirk Martin or the residence where he resides and where this original allegation occurred, which is for Clipper in the city of Taylor. Sir, you cannot purchase or consume alcohol or illegal drugs. You can't possess or have access to firearms. And you have a $2,000 cash bond. I've noted on the file that you're entitled to this hearing forthwith. So the clerks will give you a date forthwith. And we're all set. Thank you.
I really wonder what's going to happen with that guy, because I've seen him so often. Like, he had a lot of hearings and stuff leading up to his last court thing, because he was just dragging the whole thing out. Like, he's a nuisance. And I don't like to describe people as that, because I'm sure he's, you know, got his own problems and reasons he's like that, but holy shit, he just seems like an absolute nuisance. He's in the jail every other week. Finikagami says, innocent until proven guilty really only exists for the well-off anyway. They are the only ones who could pay bail or afford the suit or good unburnt-out lawyer anyway. Honestly, this is more honest about how the system sees poor defendants. I guess exacerbating the issue doesn't help solve it, though. I don't know if you know this, I'm not an accelerationist. It's fun when you're not an accelerationist, but things accelerate nonetheless. And you're like, all right, hold on. Hey, Phoenix Leftist, how's it going? I wanted to watch this. Cataspinda had on a guest to her program that seems like he's an interesting fella. That's incredibly loud. Let me turn that way down. Sorry about that.
No, there are and I will set you to revoke your Chief Mahto here. Your election and stop paying income taxes and feeding the beast that is.
Oh, is she telling people they don't have to pay taxes? That's not good. That's illegal.
Bringing us into the New World Order. If that's
illegal not to pay taxes, I don't necessarily know if it's illegal to say that. You can lie legally. I don't know.
As you and you're done paying the beast, then send me an email at onenewearth@pm.me.
Oh god, do I need to email Cataspinda?
That will get to me and I will set you up with a free 30-minute Zoom call. The entire process is legal and lawful. So there's nothing to worry.
Legal and lawful. If you need to say that before your service, it concerns me a little bit. Like, I've never had roofing done and had them be like, we promise our roofing service is legal and lawful. Yeah, I wasn't questioning it. I'm a little concerned now, though.
Worry about. Take control of your life today, revoke your election, and let's take our power back. Hello, good men, women, sons, and daughters. This is Cataspinda with One New Earth. and welcome to my show. Today, I have Chief Mahto here with us today. Now, there are 574 Indian chiefs in America.
Oh,
And the Chief Mahto is the only one who has produced a treaty with the United Nations and created his own currency.
to be clear, no, the United Nations does not have a treaty with this gentleman. Also, this guy calls himself a tribal chief. I don't get the vibe that he actually is. For reference, this is the guy she's talking about. This is the, quote, tribal chief. So, I get the vibe he's probably not an actual tribal chief. He might have a tribal tattoo. That was probably big when he was, I don't know, in his 20s and the 90s. Anyway, sovereign citizen is an oxymoron. It is. You are correct. Good job. Let's see. Where was that? There it is.
Established his own church, and standing, and is willing to adopt every nonviolent offender currently in jail or prison by having their cases transferred into the Mahto courts. Specifically, those who were kidnapped and imprisoned due to admiralty law, statutes, and codes, which we know are completely unlawful. And we have many people from all walks of life who are standing against the beast, against this deep state cabal system that has stolen all of our rights, which are God-given, by the way.
Wow, that's crazy that God didn't enact those rights until 1789. That's crazy. What was God doing for all those millennia? God specifically revealed these rights to Americans, specifically in 1789, and only for landowning white men at the time.
Many people think the Constitution gives us rights. The Constitution is merely a contract.
It's not a contract, but it's a foundational legal document. What gives us rights is our collective agreement that we have rights and the systems in place that exist to protect and enforce those rights. That's it. It's not magic. They're not magic words. They're not etched into the universe in any way. It's literally just a thing we agree to. That's it.
For them to follow. But unfortunately, they're not following the Constitution. So many of us.
Her interpretation of the Constitution. Benikagami says, I'm not accelerationist either. In fact, I want things to stop happening for a while. My mother fell on our front porch and now has a broken knee and 4 broken ribs. They say it'll take 6 to 8 weeks to recover, but thanks to her autoimmune disease, 6 to 8 months is what it'll take if we're lucky. I'm speaking from experience. It once took her 3 years for a bone to heal, so now all transportation is my responsibility, including helping my brother's ex. Merry Christmas. Ooh, I am really sorry. That is a lot. That is a bummer.
Us again are fighting and standing in the truth. We just want to be free. And so Chief Mahto is an example of somebody who is pushing forward and not just accepting the status quo. And he has a message. So I wanted to go ahead and have him come on my show today and bring you that message. So here we go. Hello, Chief Mahto. How are you doing today?
I am still kicking. How are you doing, Miss Cat?
Kicking as well, living the dream. I just thank you for being on my show. And
if you ask a white person how we're doing and we say living the dream, I need this to be clear. It means you want to die. My first channel. Thanks for a 3-stream streak.
Do have a Rumble channel, so I want people to be aware of that, where you can follow Chief Mahto on his journey. Just quickly, give us an explanation, a summary of who you are, and then I have some questions that I would like to ask you.
Okay. My Indian name is Mahto Chakka, which means left-handed bear. I am son of Mahto Chakka Tiopiota. That's left-handed bear wounded many times. And I am a member of the Fort Peck Assiniboine Sioux Nation, but I am not a member of that tribe. There is a distinct difference there. It took me about a decade to finally come to the realization of how everything was put together. And once I saw that, of course.
So he's claiming he's a part of this nation, but not a part of the tribe. Okay. Sure.
Being a man of Yahuwah and his son Yahusha, I have an obligation, whether I like it or not, especially as a U.S. military veteran, to ensure that everything continues to operate legally and lawfully.
So you just said, because you claim you are an indigenous person, I don't think he is, who is part of the nation but not the tribe of the Sioux, and also because you're a follower of Jesus and the Christian God, and a former person in the military, that means it's your job to make sure law is followed. I'm not sure if that follows at all, but that's what I got from that. He is a chief of the Sioux Nation, but not tribe, and also veteran, and also Christian dominionist. Okay.
Okay. Well,
But
great.
me
Oh, go ahead.
individually, I'm nobody and nothing special. So
Okay, well, we're all doing what we can in this world to make a difference, and we live in this regime where we have a mafioso going on with our government, and so again, we're all just standing in the truth, and there are ways for us to stand in that in our freedoms. And I thought it was very interesting that you had delivered this
One sec, I gotta
treaty.
close this window. Fennikagami says if you served in the military, you already consented to get fucked by the government. That's very true. That's funny for them to be like, I have no contracts with the government, and literally, like, they owned you and your body for years. Just a Peach says, this sounds like he had too little blood to be on the rolls, so less than 1/16. Okay, so not at all, basically, by any reasonable consideration.
To the United Nations. I have a question for you though. So I used to work in Pendleton, Oregon on a Indian reservation. They used tribunal laws, which are different from the United States codes and all of that. Which law will your treaty operate under?
Let me guess, it's gonna be his own set of laws put forward that can confer the authority of Yeshua and his tribal ancestry that's definitely very real and true to him.
all treaties in the Republic operate under the same law. The reason that they were able to use that version of what you would refer to as law is because they're sovereign in that capacity. So anybody else who has a limited license to practice admiralty law, that would be any federally recognized tribe of the 574. We would be the 575th that, again, is composed of American Indians, not U.S. citizens. And if you
So he is straight up trying to claim that this thing he made up is an official tribe recognized by the U.S. government. Ugh.
look at the Styles Manual for all of the federal employees who have to write all of the laws and everything, you will realize that Indians, quote unquote, are Washingtonians, Montanans, Illinoisans. These are the de jure Native Americans. So I did want to just correct one other thing. Believe it or not, everything that they are doing is legal and lawful. Why is that? The reason is because
Cat didn't look happy that he said that. Just a Peach with a $3 tip says, I worked in res casinos and know people who were members who were whiter than him. Our whole world is so fucked up, isn't it?
in their world, if they have put it somewhere, written it down, put it in a book, then it is technically legal to have these Article 1 courts. Why? because all of their members presumably opted in. How did they opt in? With the birth certificate and the social security number. That's how you got to be part of that so-called Costco club. It's just called the US and it's based out of DC. So what we do is we teach our members how to correctly manage those minor estates. And we manage those minor estates with the express purpose of increasing the GDP, reducing the public debt, and providing public services to our veterans, first responders, and law enforcement who've been injured in the line of duty. So they can hardly...
Wow, that is a word salad of buzzwords. We're gonna do all the good. We're gonna do all the good. Lower taxes and more services. Woo!
say that we are anti-American. They can hardly say we're anti-tax because the LLCs that are utilized in the public arena by the tribal entity and organization for federal and state contracting under the...
I know you can't always tell by looking amber. This guy screams using this as a scam, though.
8A service disabled vet, disabled disadvantaged business enterprise programs, respectively. Those are tax-paying.
This is on Rumble, and I found his Rumble account, too. That's where I found this video, which we might take a look at later. Clearly very respectful to indigenous cultures.
Entities. And we have to pay payroll taxes on those. Because why? Because the huge monopoly board that you are referring to, known as the Matrix, this is the easiest way to explain it to those who have not yet been introduced to this. And that is that you are on a monopoly board. You're using their monopoly money. And because you are using their monopoly money, they are entitled to be able to collect interest on that. But make no mistake about it, if you think you own your property and you're paying taxes on it, you clearly do not own your property. That's why the rich do not pay taxes. It's because they don't own anything. And we are not taught what it means to transfer all...
That's not really true. They own plenty of things. What are you talking about? Often they'll own things in states without an income tax. And they'll take, for instance, instead of taking straight cash for their, you know, what's the word I'm thinking of? I'm thinking the word pay, but not just pay. Whatever they're getting paid for their job, often if you're like super wealthy, you'll get it in stock options that you'll then use as collateral to take out loans from banks. You don't have to take out interest, or rather you don't have to pay taxes on loans like that, and then they'll spend it like that, and it's a whole thing. So he's wrong. Salary, compensation, that's the word. Thank you, Morgan.
All of these assets into a protected type of entity referred to as a foreign grantor's trust, private trust, living trust, express
I'm right. How you doing, Amber?
trust. Weiss trustee handbook is a good thing to get your hands on. But when Americans come to the realization that we essentially have a choice, right? I can deal with wonderful women like yourself who, just like everybody else, you're in your own particular point in your journey, right? When you began this, your vernacular was far different than what it is now. You understand or overstand the importance of jargon.
Oh, also, if any of you didn't catch it, also if you weren't here for like the beginning of the video, he did say he created his own like tribal nation.
Importance of using the correct terminology.
Which obviously he did not, but he claims it.
And when you get yourself to a level where you can stand on your square and you can walk into any one of these courts and you invoke the power of the Most High, that's your best protection. That's the sevenfold armor.
Just a Peach says the tribal LLC runs the casino to protect the tribe from getting sued by idiots. I mean, that's what LLCs in general are designed for.
Of Yahuwah. But you have to understand that this court system, this Title 4D, Section 666 system has been around for over 6,000 years. It's
Section 666 system. And the same legal system has been around for 6,000 years. No, it hasn't. What are you talking about? You think our legal system is the same exact legal system from 6,000 years ago? Where 6,000 years ago? What are you talking about? You can point to certain aspects of, like, Roman courts that, you know, followed through in civilizations after them and wound up in, like, certain traditions that ended up in, like, British courts. And then those courts' traditions came over to the United States. That doesn't mean it's the same entity just because certain long-standing legal traditions might have lasted a long time.
just been in a different form. We also have to understand Revelation, where it talks about the souls of men will be bought and sold in the last days. There's only a few discerning folk like yourself, Miss Cat, that get the fact that what we are watching here is a biblical event. This has nothing to do with men and women. It has nothing to do with nations. This has everything to do with those who are at the top. In the book of Revelation, it says, you who call yourself Jews, but are of the synagogue of Satan.
Oh no! He's one of these guys! He's doing the thing!
What does that mean? You will know them by their fruit, right? You said it yourself, so you see their symbols.
He's doing the JQ thing where he's trying to claim that that Jewish people aren't actually Jewish. He's doing the anti-Semitic thing.
You know, if you look at Israel, the name for that is literally the name of foreign gods ending in L.
The concept of law isn't even 6,000 years old. I don't know when Hammurabi was.
That's why you have Raphael. You have all these different things. It means Elohim. But Ra or Isa, Ra, right? These are all a different pantheon of gods. That's not who we follow. So ultimately, what everybody needs to wrap their mind around to bring it home, all the US citizens that play on that monopoly board is owned by the Vatican. Admiralty law is copyrighted and trademarked, and it's owned by the Vatican.
Admiralty law is owned by the Vatican is a pretty good line. That's so stupid. Also, I think I get why he's saying 6,000 years, by the way. He's not talking actual history. He's probably thinking, like, young Earth creationist history.
So
not history, but mythology.
Unless one has a limited admiralty license to operate in that jurisdiction, you can't. And that's essentially what this tribe has done, is that after...
Altered Undying says, no L! L means of God. That's why most angels named end in L.
For a lot of research and standing on the shoulders of some incredibly intelligent, well-read, counselors that I've been blessed to actually come across, I've been able to learn what it means to actually come out of Babylon. Because that...
What does that mean? The Langren with tier 1 for 3 months in advance says, I love when you get different types of crazies sharing a space and they have to tolerate each other's brand of crazy. Cat does not look comfortable here. Agreed. Her mythology is slightly different than his. There are certainly overlaps, but it conflicts enough that she's not in agreement with him entirely. Hammurabi ruled from 1792 to 1750 BCE.
That's what the
Good for him.
United States is. The United Nations. We are very literally
I
Babylon.
wonder how that went over when he first wrote down the code. Were people like, what the fuck? This is such a specific comedy bit that no one would get, but it would be like the invention of the Code of Hammurabi and basically it being read in public for the first time. Here's what the rules are now, everyone. And the first sovereign citizen, the minute law came to be written down, there was a sovereign citizen that's like, nah, bro, I'm not feeling it.
But again, does that mean that we're out here panicking and saying the sky's falling? And no, we're here for those with ears to hear and eyes to see. And that's not going to be everybody. Chief Mahto is universally known as, probably misogynistic or sexist by today's standards because I advocate for Proverbs 31 women for men to marry.
Mm-hmm.
Proverbs 31 women. Proverbs 31. Let's take a look. The sayings of King Lemuel, an inspired utterance his mother taught him. Listen, my son, listen, son of my womb. Listen, my son, the answer to my prayers. Do not spend your strength on women, your vigor on those who ruin kings. It is not for kings, Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, not for rulers to crave beer, lest they drink and forget what has been decreed. Okay, so there's about drunkenness. The wife of noble character. I'm assuming this is the section. A wife of noble character who can find? She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She's like the merchant ships bringing her food from afar. She gets up while it's still night. She provides food for her family and proportions for her female servants. She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her tasks. She sees that her trading is profitable, and her lamp does not go out at night. In her hand she holds the distaff, and grasps the spindle with her fingers. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes coverings for her bed. She's clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes his seat amongst the elders of the land. So basically, he wants like a trad wife, but also she makes money and does her own thing. Okay? Does not eat the bread of idleness. Her husband also praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. So he wants like a super wife that does everything for him.
And when you read the definition of a Proverbs,
Trad wife plus capitalism. That is the vibe. That is the vibe. Predates capitalism by quite a bit, but yeah. That seems to be his interpretation. Easy one to make in this day and age, based on that text.
31 woman, I cannot possibly see how a feminist could stand there with a straight face and claim that they could even be fit to tie a Proverbs 31 woman's shoes.
Nor would
She's
they
an
want
incredible
they're
creature.
so brainwashed, nor would they want to be a Proverbs 31 woman. And that's part of the problem with all
You
the
gotta get your Proverbs 31 grind set, okay, girlies?
bad messaging that comes through the television, you know, all the lies, and many people just puppet what they see.
Mhm.
And this is kind of what we're going up against. It's a spiritual
And she's not a puppet. She does the opposite of everything she sees, which is much more independent.
battle. And so you're, you know, kind of taking the horns
You're
here and making a
Green guy with a $3 tip says, Hannah, works with eager hands means gives great HJs, right? I could have made that joke, but I didn't. So thanks for making it for me.
way because we create our own reality, and this matrix is beginning to shatter. We're seeing it everywhere.
Namu is the oldest codified law code we know of, from what we can tell, that was issued in the 21st century BCE, 4,000 years or so ago, give or take. Before that, law was fluid and localized based on traditional wisdom and the like.
We are.
Do I think Kat knows what Proverbs says? I had the same thought and was wondering, when he says Proverbs 31 women, does she know exactly what he's talking about? I don't know. H-Beard says, the passage said a Proverbs woman wears purple. Maybe he's into you. I hope not.
But we're the first in line, first in time. You understand that if you're part of the UCC. And we're the only nation composed strictly of American Indians who basically serve our U.S. citizens by giving them 50% discounts in our villages. And you can hardly call anybody that does that anti-American. That's why it's unassailable. But most importantly, if we look back to the history of how all these corporate entities came to be, how their original land title claims came to be, it was from a clown called Columbus coming here claiming to discover a land that was already inhabited by 100 million Native Americans. And then after the genocide of that population...
It's so interesting because he's so not the guy you would normally hear shit-talking Columbus, but he's able to use indigenous plight in order to further his own personal political goals. So he's just like going for it. How interesting.
Group, guess what happened? You know what happened. Back in 1933, they ended up actually enslaving all of those who conquered my people. So now enter Chief Mahto, creating his own nation, creating their own flag, their own language, their own society, and adopting all of those who conquered my people. Why? Because they're...
Wonder if he really believes this. I'm genuinely trying to figure out now, because initially I thought, oh, outright scammer, but the more I'm listening to him, and maybe he's just very confident in his lies, I'm trying to figure out, does he really believe this? Does he genuinely identify this way and isn't just using it for a scam, but he really believes this and really identifies this way?
The other ones who have rights as Native Americans, if you were born here, to indigenous title of these lands. So who else could tell these foreign kings and queens, the Vaticans and all of them, you can stay here, you can practice admiralty law, but we're going to require you to be licensed, especially if
He has a
your agents have already.
Wait, what? He has a backstage account where he also claims to be African American? What's a backstage account? Chief Mahto, Seattle, Washington. Native/African American national from the Tetron region of Idaho. Minor non-speaking roles and On Frozen Ground. Baby, he was in Baby Geniuses 3? That's the one with John Voight doing brownface. Huh. Singer, songwriter, political activist, and writer. He's claiming to be native and African American. At no point is he saying white. Even though, again, and hey, it's, you know, some people don't necessarily look, but like, really? This is, where is he? This is the guy that's like, I'm half black and half Native American. I don't know, man. I don't know about that. What in the fuck?
Taken 245 caliber weapons from Chief Mahto. You refuse to return them. I would say that's a public.
Like, I'd be willing to admit I'm wrong if there is some weird scenario, but like, I'm not crazy, right? Like, that's true. He could always, I guess, be from like South Africa, but like, I don't think that's what he means. What is he doing?
Safety issue.
Mhm.
Why? Because you guys are out here taking property on behalf of literally the Vatican, on behalf of a foreign government. You're
Is he the crazy Quaid? That's Randy. Randy's the crazy Quaid.
taking it from a law-abiding American veteran who is out here making the mistake of traveling without the white man's permission. And I hate that term, white man, but
Well,
you know
there's-
what I mean.
But you are
They're stealing from the people, and it's I mean, like you said, they're taking it, but it's literally theft, which
like,
goes
it feels like a shit post. Am I crazy?
against
Like, it's one of the whitest guys I've ever seen. He even has the douchebag conservative white guy goatee, and he's like, fuck whitey. And it's like, what? He's about 3 seconds away from holding up a fish on a Tinder profile. You're telling me this guy isn't a white guy? I don't know.
God's law and natural law. And a lot of people don't see that. And you're basically wanting to bring people in to the Mahto tribe and adopt them from the jails and prisons for those who have not committed harm against anyone, you know, under common law. So who qualifies to be a part of the Mahto nation?
Anybody that has American nationality by birthright, that has not taken an oath to a foreign entity, that has not taken an oath to a foreign organization, anybody who has not overtly taken steps to subvert the Constitution for the Republic. And the reason that I'm adopting all of the prisoners, the nonviolent ones, is because it says in the scriptures to visit.
He's trying to claim all nonviolent prisoners as his own? That's funny. Would you not need their consent? Just a Peach with a $3 tip says, he does not talk like he's from a PNW tribe. I would say mostly true believer in his own grift.
Those in prison. And it says that some of you will have to go to prison, but the only way to make sure they can't go to prison anymore is to be able to take the funding away. So I had one veteran brother who wrote to me. I sent him the package that said legal mail. You had to write that on the top of it or they're not required to give it to him.
Says legal mail. I wrote it right on the envelope.
But in there, it is an unconditional power of attorney for me, Chief Mahto, to stand in as power of attorney over his estate. What's the other letter that I sent to him? It was a copy of the letter that as soon as I get his autographed power of attorney back, it gets sent to the warden, and it also gets sent to the trustees for the Social Security Administration. Why? Because they're the ones in charge of funding all of the expenses for all of these inmates in these private prisons.
I don't think that's true, but I don't know enough about the prison system to directly say it's not true. What I will tell you is that you getting power of attorney for these people in jail isn't going to get them out. And I'm a little concerned that he thinks power of attorney means you get to be their lawyer, which isn't what power of attorney means.
So I wanted to give them notice that, hey, that's one of my adopted brothers. That's a Mahto tribal member. He's not a U.S. citizen. He's now an American Indian. And since I have power of
He's now an American Indian, quote.
attorney, the warden, who is sitting there with the power of attorney signing all of these expenses, the warden is no longer power of attorney over this account. And I, the current power
He wasn't power of attorney to begin with. What are you talking about?
of attorney and trustee, will not be endorsing any expenses for incarcerating this American any longer. So if I adopt all of the prisoners in the
Oh, okay. I think I get it. I put it together in my head. He believes that prisoners, the funding for prisons, he believes is coming from the fictional Sesti K trusts that he thinks all Americans have. You know how sovereign citizens think everyone has a secret Sesti K trust that has millions of dollars in it? They sometimes try to pay their bills from this fictional account. He's talking about that. So he thinks that in jail, you're paying for your own prison stay via your Sesti K trust account that, again, does not exist, but they believe it does. That makes sense. Overthought wants me to look up power of attorney in Black's Law Dictionary, which I will do.
system, and they all have access to that same thing because, again, if they are law-abiding Americans and they want to go out here and help us serve our U.S. citizens, those are the types of people I want. I don't care what your religion is. I do not care what your personal belief system is. What I care about is, are you a good man or woman?
And that's so important because really,
I
we're
mean,
all brothers and sisters.
what do you consider a good person? That's kind of like a subjective ruling, depending on how strict you're going to be about it. You're craving grapes? Grapes always sound good.
And we kind of talked a little bit before, and you asked me if I was an American Indian, and
No!
my mom actually thought I was. And I used to tell people I was pulling a Pocahontas Elizabeth Warren. I didn't know, though.
Oh, yuck.
I did that DNA test, which I actually kind of wish I didn't do, which proved that we didn't have any in us. But my dad is Hawaiian, and
That's, to be clear, a pretty common, like, lie in families in the Midwest. Maybe it's everywhere in America, or maybe just in areas where there are, like, tribal populations. But yeah, that was a lie in my family, too. I even repeated it for a while on stream. I'd be like, oh yeah, here's this weird thing. Yeah, it turns out families just, like, lie about that shit. I'm not saying the person that told you necessarily lied, but, like, it's like a thing that this would be, like, a lie that was common, so... Just, you know, don't assume that if your family tells you that it's necessarily true. Where else? Sorry, I'm still looking for the power of attorney.
and I really feel like the Hawaiian people look just like the American Indian people. Very
You're
close.
indigenous. No, you are literally indigenous. Don't let anybody tell you differently.
Yep, okay, he's doing the Marcel thing, so he's just trying to claim that everyone born in the United States is legally indigenous, which is not what that designation means.
Yeah.
Because the Hawaiian people and the Native American people and all of the people in Russia that are of the same cloth. We have indigenous populations all over the earth. In fact, the Montagnards are Indians in Vietnam that the special forces, had wonderful relationships with. They weren't Vietnamese. They had nothing to do with that government, but you are part of that indigenous population because you were part of us before
I'm kind of afraid to know what his opinion on Vietnam is, if I'm being
all
honest.
of the floodwaters receded. And after they receded, that's where we all got dispersed in the diaspora, however you want to pronounce that. But yeah, I consider you to be indigenous. But think about it this way. If you're adopted into an actual indigenous tribe, 250 years ago,
Power of attorney, an instrument authorizing another to act as one's agent or attorney. The agent is attorney in fact, and his power is revoked on the death of the principal by operation of law. Such power may be either general or special.
there would have been no distinction. If you would have said, I'm Potawatomi, I am, Algonquian, I am whatever, they wouldn't have cared what color your skin was. That enemy or your other Indian tribes or your fellow members would have looked at you as though you are family, because you are. If you were a female, you'd be expected, if you were nursing, to be able to feed any child at any time in the tribe. They all belong to you. And, that's how our
A good man's fury. Thanks for 31 months.
culture actually behaved. That's why at the Mahto village, we give discounts to our servants, but we only charge foreigners interest. We don't charge interest to our fellow Mahtoian, our fellow Americans. That's the best way to say it. Because
Hey, Trey. Trey says it's a common lie that actually came out of World War II as the nation grew to respect its indigenous population. More people, lighter or mixed, started identifying themselves as part native in order to garnish more social leeway. I have heard that, actually, yeah.
we're here to help each other grow. We are here to basically reap all of the things that have been reserved for the.
Oh, sorry, Just a Peach. Just a Peach says, yes, a grift to steal people's money and Social Security or vet benefits. Yeah, that's my guess, too. He's asking for power of attorney, which would give him access to a lot of people's stuff.
Meek, as described in the scriptures. So I would love to take credit for it and, claim I did this or that. But again, I'm just some flunky that was, charged with putting this together. I would rather be fishing, if I'm being honest. But
I
Make less money fishing, I'm guessing. Wink, wink.
agree.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't expect to be in this fight today after 2020. A lot of people woke up to the fact that, we don't really have a government that serves the people. And like you said, although, they are doing things legally. A lot of what they're doing is legally. It's based on their code, statutes,
He's gonna say, but it's not lawful.
mandates, ordinances, policies, procedures, all of that. But lawfully, when you, like you said, the Bible or
Why do I speak crazy?
and God, that natural law and God's law is the highest form of law, and they're not following God's law. They're not. And
well, now, Kat, why do you say that they're not following God's law? If you don't mind me asking, let's look at your case individually.
yes,
What did they not do in your case?
they kidnapped me. They
Based
stole
on?
from me. They stole property.
No. Where were you when they kidnapped you?
At their sheriff's office.
Okay, had you walked into their building voluntarily?
They invited
I feel like, is Kat gonna regret inviting this guy on?
me into their building to show bank fraud. Instead of having the meeting go through with the sheriff, which I was promised, they just arrested me. That's kidnapping. That goes against
That's an arrest. They lied to you to get you there, and then they arrested you. The cops are allowed to lie to you.
God's
Not saying that's right. I'm just telling you that's not illegal.
law.
Correct, but let me ask you a question. Did you have a driver's license?
I do have one, but I don't use it.
Did you have one at the time?
Yeah.
Had you rescinded or assigned your birth certificate, all the value in that, to the treasury? Had you done a live life claim, anything like that?
Well, I guess we may have a different.
It's funny, she's getting shamed by this other sovereign citizen. Don't get me wrong, all the stuff that he's saying is also bullshit, but it's funny that she brought someone on her show and he's, like, denigrating her for not being Sobsit enough. Funny. Fenigami says, Vietnam, you mean good friend of the United States, a state-controlled capitalist borderline oligarchy that tankies love to pretend is anti-American imperialist stronghold because it claims to be Marxist-Leninist, and also partially because a Vietnamese woman YouTuber pretending to be a leftist even though she's a Nepo baby tells them it is? Sure, yeah, Vietnam, yeah.
difference of opinion in this, but I think all of that is.
No.
I've heard the surfing's great there.
Wait a minute. It's all done under
We agree.
fraud. It's all done
It
under
is.
fraud, which means fraud vitiates everything. Did I know at 7 years old I was supposed to claim myself? No, most billions of people didn't know that because of the brainwashing going on with our system. Is it legal? Yes. Is it lawful? Well, is fraud lawful? I don't
You're
think.
correct. It was all induced under fraud, all of that other stuff. But
Yeah.
what I was referring to was, why were you in there, right? What were the mechanisms that caused you to believe that you were required to go, right? You said it yourself.
probably true, Just a Peach. Just a Peach says, as he said, he has no respect for women. He does not like that he has to talk to her. I would imagine in his ideal world, Kat probably would not have a platform to speak the way she does. That's just a guess, though.
thought you were going to be dealing with the sheriff. Now, what would have happened if you had
Trey says he needs to give his audience a reason why it didn't work for her, but he also needs to come off as the superior authority on lawful matters to her audience to bring in more marks. That is an incredible point. He needs to, excuse me, like Trey said, in this moment, he needs to exhibit competence, or at least exhibit what appears to be competence in this field, and that's what he's doing by putting her down as making him seem like the expert. That's a really good way. Yes, Trey. A+. Excellent. Good point I should have made.
put in a notice of surrender for your driver's license, or you had redone the driver's license with all rights reserved without prejudice. Now, whatever the information or the charging instrument or the invitation was, I promise you it either had that driver's license or it had something, because that's how they, as you know, that's what they use to pretend that you volunteered, right? That you contracted with them. So what I wanted to illustrate was, how do we make sure that doesn't happen?
This is the least comfortable I've ever seen Kat on her own show, and she had Marcel on.
That's why I brought that up.
Well, you
How
don't
did we
trust
get
these
into
crooks. That's
You never give the rest of us A's, boo favoritism. Not favoritism. He said a very insightful thing that I agreed with. Have you considered doing that?
what you do. You don't trust the crooks
Why am I mean? Why am I mean?
because
Well,
we put see, this is the thing. We put trust into a system and in people working for the system who lie, create ruses, kidnap, murder, cheat, steal. They do everything that
Very true. Amber also A.
is against God's law. So
I agree.
the legalities, we have 11 million statutes and codes.
Benigami says he did say earlier that indigenous people like me need to decide if we'd rather deal with women like you. So yeah, he's sexist. I guess that's true. I didn't catch that if he did say that.
Against the people created by the people inside
Yes, Harold Ebleman.
the corporations. And
Mhm.
so they do it again, it's all done.
Trey says, a couple of things that I noticed as a professional salesman. What he's doing here is he's putting himself into a position where he's forced to teach her the right way of doing things in order to maintain authority in the conversation. He's also applying urgency. There are actions that the audience needs to take in order to be protected. Yeah, you want to put a time clock on it.
under fraud, but see, they won't admit it. And as long as they lock arms with each other and protect each other, then they're good. And they've been doing this for, like you said, 6,000 years. We've been under this Babylonian banking system. So I guess we'd have a little bit of a disagreement there.
I've talked about this before, but I'll say it again for everyone who needs to hear. When you hear people call things in conspiracy circles Babylonian banking system, America's the new Babylon. This is like vague gesturing towards anti-Semitism. This ties into like deep conspiracy lore that ties into anti-Semitism. Now, to be clear, the person saying it might not even know that. They might not know that this necessarily refers back to very specifically anti-Semitic beliefs, but they've heard it, and it unfortunately gets people there. So just keep an ear out for that kind of talk. It connects to the Khazarian mafia, anti-Semitic bullshit.
I believe all that's completely unlawful, but it's legal. It's legal according to their codes and statutes. But does that match up to
Seesaw effect. Thanks for
God's
following.
law and the protections that we're supposed to have under the Constitution?
It does not. But let's ask ourselves one question. And by the way, you and I completely agree on this system being corrupt and being fraudulently induced, because you were a minor when you were convinced to take driver's ed. I would almost guarantee you.
Yeah.
But more than that, remember, this all started at the hospital, right? When mom was convinced to become an informant and hand over the child and put her maiden name on a birth certificate when she was married, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So that fraud and everything was reinforced by who? By our educators that, like you said, you trusted, right?
That's
But
right.
if we really keep this in perspective, It doesn't matter if we're talking about one of our great U.S. citizen public servants in any government entity, or we're talking about any of our public servants in the school system. They too were indoctrinated, right?
Right.
So just like you and I, where we started on our journey, where you would have talked to somebody like you and I 10 years ago, we would have been nut job. Why? Because we
It would have been 10 years ago. It still is, but it would have been 10 years ago, too.
were indoctrinated, right?
100%,
So
yes.
really so what we really need to do
She's correct. It's not kidnapping. It's lawful, unwilling confinement, and usually you have to have good probable cause to do it. Yeah, I mean, they did. They had a warrant for her, so.
if we want to turn this around is we need to stop the existing narratives, like women like yourself that are going out and spreading these messages, and you're interviewing people who aren't afraid to actually speak the truth regardless of who it pisses off. You're the actual inspiration for these young girls. I don't know if you know that, but you women are the ones who in the future, you watch. History judges everything correctly, and you women.
That's nonsense. History judges everything correctly? What does that mean? What?
Who are out here championing this, when you're standing here, you're facing the fire, you're facing all these feminazis, all of these out.
He said feminazis! He said feminazis in the mid-2020s. He said feminazis. Making me feel old. Remember in 2012 YouTube.
Outside entities trying to vilify you, trying to treat you like a criminal, trying to treat you like, what's the new term, a pick-me girl, right? Right? Why? Because you're advocating for, yeah, that's what they call him, a pick-me, right? Because, oh, she's out here catering to men. Great. Call these types of women.
Glad you like it, Seesaw Effect. We cover all sorts of weird conspiracy stuff. General Tinfoil Tuesday stuff where we cover like flat earthers and QAnon people, dinosaur deniers, any conspiracy theories. We do all sorts of fun stuff. Welcome.
And whatever you want, but they're the ones that we men are looking for. They're the ones who actually want to build futures. They want to build homes. It's not
and make sure you join the Discord if you want to vote on what costumes I wear every day during costume months, which as of right now, we have a lot to go.
To change because they don't feel like it anymore. They're actually devoted to the marriage, not to their feelings. And there's very few women out there.
What does that mean? Marasoma, thanks for gifting a sub to Seesaw Effect.
That will speak that truth to other women because they're afraid of the backlash. So I applaud everything you're doing, and I can't speak highly enough about you, Jedediah Bila, that young lady, Just Pearly Things, you know, Candace Owens, all of these women who are out here.
Yeah, Kat looks not super happy. Like, even though right now he's saying, like, oh, you're good, you're great, doesn't she seem, like, not happy?
Advocating for the things that all women should be advocating for, in my opinion. So,
yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And, you know, we're all in this together, and whether we believe or agree 100%, that doesn't really matter. We are all
there she is trying to like, hey, I don't agree with you on everything, but like, can we get back to the stuff we agree on?
Honestly, all on the same side when you think about who's against us, who is bringing down the hammer of injustice, because it's certainly not justice when we can't get a sheriff to look at fraud. We can't, the sheriff, and it says right on their oath of office, and everything is in the oath of office. It's right there. They tell you who they work for, and it's not us.
Thanks for following, person who just followed, whose name I don't know how to read.
They work for the corporation.
Let me see. Let me make up how that might be pronounced. These are characters that I don't recognize. They're not like they're not what do we call the letters we use? What do we call it? It's not like the English alphabet, wherever that comes from. Latin alphabet, sure. Anyway, let's see. This looks like it's maybe almost like a T thing, but it's got like a so we're gonna say it's like a yeah. And then the second one's like a thing going like this, so it's like Tadga! And then there's just a line. So I'm gonna say it's Tadga! Oh.
They work for the
it's a guess.
codes, and they work for their positions. And
No idea what language that is.
it says that I have Sheriff Tom Croskery. He's the Benton Count of Benton, created and founded in 1905. That's when the bank account was opened,
Bubbly
right?
Bubblegum, thanks for subscribing on YouTube.
Profit off of us and to traffic us. And you know, these people at the top.
Did I just Trogdor? I wish.
I believe that
Trogdor!
there's a knowing there that what they're doing. So even though many of the minions on the bottom are following, they're the order followers of the world that is responsible for every form of slavery. And even the Hawaiian people went through a very, very similar thing that the Indian people did, where in 1893, the American British government came in, surrounded the castle of Queen Liliuokalani, put her in shackles for 6 weeks at her own house while they took over the Hawaiian government. And there were people inside Hawaii who were a part of that and
Yeah, the Hawaii situation, incredibly fucked up.
became part of that deep state cabal system. To, you know, they started capturing all of these territories like Hawaii and making them a state. So over there they call them plantations, and over here they're reservations, but they're basically the same thing. And
Sure.
it's sad, honestly, because like I said, I used to work on an Indian reservation, and there was a lot of alcohol fetal syndrome with the mothers having babies that were born with alcohol fetal syndrome. There was
fetal alcohol syndrome. I know I'm nitpicking, but
a lot of pedophilia that went on there, but it goes on everywhere. I think it was just kind of maybe more open and it was kind of shocked, honestly.
Fucking
but again,
what?
Even the Indian and the Hawaiian people have gone through a lot of brainwashing since this has all started. And that's why it's so important that people like you and me are speaking out the truth. We have been the researchers that have dug into history and see what has actually happened. And we don't even know all the truth. So
Nope.
I want to talk about your treaty with the United Nations, and I'm actually going to bring it up here. So here is the copy sent to the
That's an official treaty.
original,
You can tell because of the way it is.
the original to the United Nations. It's got the registered mail contract number, how you sent it. It's the Declaration of Chief Mahto. So basically, is this considered like a declaration of independence from the United Nations?
You don't need one of those. You're not automatically in the United Nations. You would have to declare dependence, but to declare independence, you're not dependent on the United Nations. What are you talking about? You're not a member. Just a Peach with a $3 tip says, I wonder how angry he was when he found out that she lives with a man that she's not married to and that she leads the relationship. True.
This is basically me giving them notice of who I am, because that's why it's...
Do you even know who I am, Mr. United Nations? No, what? No, what is this? What is this? We have actual stuff to do.
It says letters patent on the upper right-hand side. And
Letters patent.
what that is this is linguistic speak for them. The seal on the upper left with the dog tags, that's the logo that's tattooed on my chest.
I put my tattoo on here, so you know it's very official. This is my seal. You can tell. Look at it.
So clearly, that's me. There is not an all caps name like the one on the birth certificate that's
so your name isn't your name, but the super sweet tattoo you designed, that's your name. Okay. Like when Prince turned his name into a symbol.
tattooed on me.
The artist formerly known as Prince.
Now, I've also invoked in the first sentence canon laws 2055
He's citing canon law? That's the law of the Catholic Church, for those that don't know.
and 2056. If you
Yes, he seems to think that the Vatican runs the UN. That's not an uncommon belief for some conspiracy theorists. They believe the Vatican is in control of everything, or they think the UN is in control of everything, and one is either part of the other in either direction.
look those up, as well as 2057, you'll see that those are basically notices that need to be given to these agencies that are listed on this letter and on this tax treaty of, your intent and your status. So when you walked into that court to revisit that, your intent was displayed by what they were perceiving to be contracts, i.e., the driver's license and you voluntarily showing up. They can't claim that intent
The Catholic Church has their own law. Yes.
because I have this here to prove with the registered mail that my intent is to be part of one heaven, which they consider to be, as I see it so far, that's outside of their jurisdiction. So that's what I was trying to get across to them, that this is who I am. I'm not this all caps name on some Idaho assumed business name certificate. I am an amalgamation of my Indian name, Chief Mahto, and I am the lead servant of my people, even though I speak for them as the representative for my
I
people in
wonder
the
who gave him that indigenous name.
ministry.
Like, did he make his own indigenous name, or did somebody actually give it to him?
Each one of every Mahto member has their own thing that they, believe in as far as the Most High. Now, what you're looking at there is a list of everybody that this tax treaty was sent to, because according to the IRS code, publication 1212 and a few other things, that's part of the process of operating legally and lawfully as a bona fide entity. So just like with the bad folk, you will know them by their fruit, right?
Mhm.
So
The bad folk. He's JQing. He's JQing there. When he says bad folk, he's JQing. Fenikagami says, considering the UN has officially condemned Israel and the Vatican refuses to, they are not the same. Yeah, we're not crackpots. We know.
So our fruit is to operate legally and lawfully.
He said he made up his own language, so you're guessing he made up the name as well. I'm missing a lot. How did I miss the language thing? That's gold.
Giving them a tax treaty, letting them know that, hey, we're operating in commerce with you. If we don't hear from you, we'll assume that it's all been accepted per you.
Yeah, that's wild. So he sent this to the UN and assumed if I don't get a response, that means they've accepted it. That's nonsense. That's so nonsense.
UCC 3-306. So I haven't heard anything from them. I've now submitted notice that, we have a miscellaneous case file.
So by saying, when he says he has been officially recognized by the UN, which is what he said, he means the opposite of that. He said, when he says, I'm sorry, I'm continually astounded by the stupid things that come out of people's mouth, and they lie, and it's so funny. Okay, so to be clear, when he says, literally when he says, the UN has recognized our tribe, he means they have not recognized our tribe because they didn't respond to my mail, and by ignoring my mail and not responding to it, by not acknowledging us, you have actually acknowledged us. Because we didn't get a firm no, because we received silence, that's affirmation. What he's done is effectively, imagine this is a matter of consent, right? He's taking silence as a yes. That's not how anything works. What is he talking about?
Filing of Mahto Ministries, doing business as the Mahto tribe. And with that, unless I hear, differently from them or from the U.S. Marshals when I go in and sit down with them, probably tomorrow, give them all the paperwork and tell them, hey.
I don't think the U.S. Marshals have authority to speak on the UN's behalf.
You tell me if there's something we're not doing correctly.
He's straight up too. He's going to be like, the U.S. Marshals didn't say the UN said no, so still they obviously acknowledge me.
Expect you to do your job and tell me what's not right.
Good
But
luck.
as far as I see it,
Yeah,
I was like, look, I'm a law-abiding man, and I believe that you guys are, you have good intentions, but I have a way of setting every U.S.
The UN must have a treasure trove of crackpot emails and letters. Think how many, conspiracy theorists out there believe that the UN is a focal point of some global conspiracy, and acknowledge that the UN must have at least some mailing addresses that are public, or some people who work at the UN. There's got to be crackpots sending, truckloads of mail to the UN every month. right? Just on their crackpot nonsense that have to be sifted through and thrown in the trash or whatever. God, I'd love to get access to some sort of archive of all the crackpot UN letters that they've been sent. If only I could spend my life just reading the writings of insane people, I'd be happy.
Citizen public servant straight within 3 minutes of talking to them, especially if I'm talking to a U.S. military veteran. I ask them, do you know the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, do you know the two entities mentioned in the Pledge of Allegiance? One of them's a corporation, one of them's a republic. When you took your oath in the military, was it to the republic or was it to a foreign corporation based out of D.C.? It's a very simple question.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you serve? Do you
Does he think that the Pledge of Allegiance is the same as the Oath of Office?
serve we the people, or do you serve your foreign masters, you bootlicking thug? That's really the only question that needs to be asked, because once that question is posed to somebody, the conversation is very simple. I'm a law-abiding American veteran. Until I get my weapons back, I have a duty under the preamble for the Constitution to ensure that I continue to bring this to the attention
Wonder why he got his weapons taken away. Was it a felony?
of the relevant authorities.
Well, that's pretty cool. Thanks for letting me know, Baha.
I tried to bring it to the attention of the colonel on Fort Lewis, got arrested for my efforts, and sent back to the very people I was trying to report.
You weren't arrested.
Now, I didn't
you
know-
were kidnapped.
She's upset that he's not calling it kidnapping. Lenin Cat says, Mahto or Mahto means bear in the Mandan language, a Siouan language of the people in North Dakota, and is part of the name of a historical figure, Mahto Tope. He has several location sites named after him. I wonder if he intentionally took that from that particular person.
Kidnapped and arrested, yeah.
In fairness, I don't know how the names work. Like, multiple people can have the same, like, name. You know, like, there could be two Bobs. I guess I don't know how the naming conventions work. How common it is to share certain parts of the name.
Arrested and kidnapped on, 3 different occasions. So, being a law-abiding, peaceful man, I allowed myself to be disarmed both times because I wasn't going to harm some public servant who was just trying to follow orders. He doesn't know any better.
Yeah, they don't.
But the guys at the U.S. Marshals, shame on me. I should have went in there 5 years ago. I just didn't know they were the ones to talk to. But now that I do, I'm bringing them all the paperwork and saying, here you go, man. You tell me if there's something wrong with my logic. If we
Okay, it's all nonsense. You have any other questions?
are working outside of the confines of what is actually allowed in this nation under the Republic, then you tell me.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have nothing to prove it, guess what? Keep your damn opinion to yourself. I'm not asking your permission. I'm telling you, this is what we're doing. And if you can't show me something illegal that we're doing, pull your bottom lip over your head and swallow. I don't care what you think. All I care about is what are we not doing that's, lawful or legal. Outside of that, opinions don't matter.
It's going to take a lot of people to stand up to this regime that doesn't seem to really care, even when you show them their own codes, which they created. Those codes are meant for the corporation. They're not meant for we the people, but they use those codes against us. And that's all commerce. It all has to do with commerce, has nothing to do with us as men and women. And so, it's time that people begin to stand up in their sovereignty. And, we're not sovereign citizens. That's one of those things that people like to say, oh, she's a sovereign citizen, he's a sovereign citizen, and that means we're domestic terrorists.
I don't think Cataspind is a domestic terrorist. The government has decided sovereign citizens are domestic terrorists. I think that's an overreaction for the most part for most of them. But yeah, the sovereign citizen thing is oxymoronic in its naming, but people like me, detractors of the sovereign citizen movement, didn't name the movement. The movement named itself back in the 1970s, and now the modern sovereign citizens are stuck with the name, and they hate the name because a lot of people recognize it at this point, so they don't like that they're accurately called sovereign citizens. They're like, oh, that's contradictory. Correct. I didn't name it. You guys did. Not you specifically, but the people who started the movement named it that.
That's how they look at us. We just want to be free.
Yeah.
We're lawful, peace-abiding, God-loving people, and we just want to be free. But with all these codes and this infrastructure that they created, this matrix that has been created around us, people are having a hard time seeing seeing reality. So let me ask you, just how can people get a hold of you for more information?
Yep, it's Mahto's America. That's the Rumble channel, and then to
Green Guy says, Hannah, when did you stop drinking? After HRT or before? I want to say it was after.
contact me, you can get me at the Mahto, Mahto group at gmail.com.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Well, we're going to wrap it up here, and I thank you for your time. Do you have any last words you want to say to my audience before we go?
Yes, absolutely. Everybody that is following you, they're following you because, you have shown them something that they have not been able to grasp. And even though they may not understand all of the material at this point, I want to applaud your listeners because you have discernment, people. If you are listening to somebody like Kat, you don't need to know how the hot dogs are made, but you can tell pretty quickly that you're following the right type of sausage maker, right? So that's actually all I had to say, and I wanted to thank you again for all your diligence and hard work and getting this message out.
Okay, well, Chief Mahto, thank you so much. I appreciate you and your stance, and I hope that people will, follow you on Rumble and listen to your continued messages. I've watched some of your videos, and Chief Mahto's pretty awake. And we're all brothers and sisters on this journey in Earth, and the Earth has been taken over by this Luciferian group, and they have put this fake fictional overlay using the zip code system over our country to capture all of our land. So if you think you
Yes, the zip code took all our land. Damn you, Mr. Zip!
own your land,
I saw the evil in his eyes. I should have known it.
you don't. It says right on your
Are jokes about the post office mascot for the introduction of the zip code system relevant? Probably. That's probably super hip.
deed of trust that
People get that joke.
you are a tenant on your own land. And this is where the people need to rise. We have the right.
There's one person out there for whom I'm fucking hilarious. I want to point that out. Statistically, there's one person where all my jokes, no matter how obscure, must hit. And for that person, you're very lucky. Person, it's me.
To throw out such governments, if they're not performing, if they're not doing their job, if they're breaking the law against the people, it's time that we start looking at other ways, ones that benefit humanity and benefit mankind and men, women, and children, and even the animals. This is 90%.
Snorting counts. I'll also take lightly exhaling out of your nose because no one else is around, and often laughing is a social activity that you take part in with others. So when you're alone, you just kind of not like a full laugh. It's just like a,
Of our country is owned supposedly by our government. You can't own something unless you create it, and God created this earth. So, what happened to the
Green Guy with a dollar tip just says no.
American Indian people, the Hawaiian people, just all people, really. We're all under the
Did she say the lion people?
slave ship, and it's time that we get off.
Kat, you're not on a slave ship. Don't compare you having to pay your mortgage to the plight of people who are literally trafficked for chattel slavery, please.
We do that by linking
What would
arms.
happen?
Yeah, we do that by linking arms and standing together like the ants and saying no more. And when I believe that's going to happen, and I believe that God wins here. So, Chief Mahto, thank you again for being here today, and for all of you. I just want to share really quickly.
Real quick, for those who don't know, Mr. Zip is Mr. Zip was the character that was used to promote the attention to the fact that zip codes were a thing. He's like the mascot for the U.S. Postal Service, or at least he was. They were like, hey, did you know that you're gonna have a zip code? And then it was Mr. Zip. Famously also referenced in the Simpsons episode, Itchy and Scratchy one, where they find the real creator. He gets a golden house and a rocket car. Anyway, Lennon Cat says, but this is the worst kind of discrimination. Discrimination against me? Is that the source of Miss Minutes from Loki? I mean, in the sense that Miss Minutes is a pastiche of general 1950s mascot type characters, I guess. Not this one directly. But it's sort of like Pip Boy, Mr., you know, the boy, the Vault Boy. Vault Boy is also a pastiche on the same kind of thing. I'm sorry, this is the same guy. This is the same guy from the previous video. Oh, his flag's upside down.
Good morning, friends. Radio, they got a
Oops, I jumped to the end.
great program at S. Good morning, friends. Chief Mahto of the Mahto tribe. I'm well aware of what the background looks like. Those who need to know. I am here today first to advocate for peaceful solutions to all issues. I want to be very clear about that. We at the Mahto tribe believe in peace, and we believe in lawful resolutions to all issues. However,
We're gonna do that.
bringing your attention to
We're gonna-
something
no,
very
hold on,
important, Mahto tribal members, okay?
Here's what we're gonna do.
Pay attention, because there's a reason why I'm required
There we go.
by oath as a soldier. That's my daddy's logo. It means something to me.
Did you just say that's your daddy's logo? Sorry, had to hide his nips.
I'm required by oath as a soldier. That's my daddy's logo. It means something to me. I'm required to report felony, fraud, and abuse, and treason. That's what this is about. This, comptroller of the currency, proof. Sorry, still have a shoulder injury here. That they were sent this, okay? And what did I send him, okay? I'm gonna read this to you because it's important, and again, because this is going to be on Rumble, it stands as a record for me to be able to defend myself when undoubtedly they're gonna come and charge me with something. Why? Because that's what these criminals do when you start exposing them, okay?
That's what these criminals do when you start exposing them. Why did I double the video? Oh, I didn't. That's always there. You guys can't see it. I don't want to go into it, but it's always there. You just can't see it, so I can quickly switch between different camera angles if I'm on different websites that focus the video either in the center or to the left. So it's always there. You just don't see it unless I'm fucking around with stuff.
So the only intelligent thing to do is to have a good offense. And since I have followed the proper steps in good faith,
This is normally
I have a very
behind
good
this.
position to be able to stand on. So again,
Layers, people. Layers. My nightmare.
this is my duty to lawfully and publicly declare I sent this to Michael J. Sue under the whistleblower correspondence. WPEA 2012-1-27. I refer to myself as King Mahto because the Foreign Grantors Trust that owns the all-caps name Marcus Troy Ream is based out of Kenya. That's where I plan to have my ministry. That's where I plan to have the recordings of all these different songs that we are
Did he just say he's gonna move to Kenya and start a ministry?
doing that have to do with teaching people about their rights and their freedom, okay? So here's what I told him. Mr. Sue, as a trustee of the Mahto Trust and as a disabled veteran, I'm handwriting this with great difficulty. As you can see, my handshake. Asking you to correct a horrific injustice that continues to be perpetrated against my children and myself. Blatant and flagrant hate crimes committed against me by agents of a municipal court in plain view of the public. Twice, all caps, the City of Gig Harbor's agents have ignored all requests and demands to cease and desist unlawfully holding their cases and displaying my copyrighted and trademarked name.
All court actions have been blocked by the same co-conspirator.
He started his own tribe, so it's not any existing tribe. He claims to be a part of the Sioux Nation. They do not acknowledge him, to my understanding, but he claims the thing that he made up, his made-up tribe, he claims is a part of the Sioux Nation. Again, to my knowledge, no, they have never acknowledged his so-called tribe. Seems like a thing he made up.
Conspirators in the Pierce County Washington Bar Association, whether county, state, federal, municipal, etc. I'm including the letter being sent to the Washington State Attorney General's office demanding they perform their duty and close out all bonds that were fraudulently filed against my $100 million copyrighted and trademarked private, all caps, non-UCC asset, the Marcus Troy Ream corporate entity, now permanently being managed within Kenya as a foreign grantor's trust managing a domestic trust. You'll find they will take no action, all caps, because they're co-conspirators, and I expect nothing less from criminals. However, it is my hope that maybe you're a man of integrity who will bring your power to bear on behalf of a Native American / Black disabled veteran who was
Again, is this just like a right-wing shit post? Does he have some grudge against minority groups, so in order to get back at them, he thinks he can, like, adopt these identities and try and use it like a bludgeon, the way he imagines minorities do, but actually don't? You know what I mean? Like, it feels like this is almost a caricature of how he views actual minority groups who are, like, put upon by the government or something, and then ask, like, hey, we're disadvantaged, we're getting fucked by the system. It's like this is his right-wing caricature of that he's doing. You know what I mean? He did say he hates the term white man. Like, this feels like... I don't know how to explain it. It's like he built a straw man and then it slipped inside it to, like, inhabit.
permanently, all caps, disabled because of the same racist bigots who committed hate crimes against me. I can prove every word of what I'm claiming, excuse me. My last step, if you two refuse to stand up and make these literal child and human trafficking terrorists, all caps, in the Washington state courts remove my all caps name asset from their systems entirely and return all funds unlawfully stolen by their fraudulent bond issuances from the Marcus Troy Ream SESQV Trust will be to provide a copy of this lawful demand request.
I like how they all say SESDK Trust differently.
Fort Lewis Base Command. I would prefer to you to intercede and arrest and charge the judge and prosecutor for knowingly, all caps, committing hate crimes against me. Seize my firearms from these criminals. Return them to me along with a check for rental fees in accordance with the Mahto fee schedule. As a barcode, people, it's used in commerce. It means it's lawful. They've been put on notice. So when they ignore it, under the law, under the commercial law, that's acquiescence. That means they have nothing to say. Silence is acquiescence. In other words, it can only be disputed as fraud when you have a duty to speak. That's the beauty of the commercial process. Then ensure my corporate name / asset is completely removed from all state of Washington systems, and the appropriate daily copyright and other fees are charged when the Washington State Attorney General's office ignores this too. Again, because that's what criminals do. Hide, all caps. Hopefully, you won't let them hide from you. And it's also my sincere hope you're a closet Constitution lover or Christian who refuses to watch
closet Constitution lover and Christian.
Such unspeakable, naked, blatant, and apparently ubiquitous corruption, thievery, hatred, anti-Semitism, racism, and outright disdain.
As we all know, it's so difficult to be a Christian in America, where most people are Christian.
American rights on my own soil as a state national continue. It's my absolute hope you'll pick up the phone and I'll get a call with you saying, Mr. Ream, we won't ignore your pleas. We too believe in the rule of law and will recover your property and file the appropriate paperwork to make sure you're compensated fairly for your injuries and inexcusable abuse you've suffered at the hands of these.
Just a Peach says he owes child support and was probably charged with DV. DV is how he lost his firearms. Oof!
Foreign agents.
No wonder he spent so much time bitching about women and how women aren't godly. His wife left him because he was a piece of shit and he thinks she shouldn't be allowed to.
After I picked myself up off the floor, I'd thank you. Please note, all silver and copper assigned under UCC 3 to the Treasury. Please use this for any bonds you wish to form against any entities for your repayments. In other words, if you want to go ahead and use that to secure any bonds for debts that you're going to charge against these people, when you file the 1099 OIDs in your fiduciary capacity as trustees that I've placed under your control, later documents here I'll share. Okay, so that being said, next document, affidavit of ownership. Non-UCC 0860-00875-873-874.
No, I know what you mean, Phoenix. I got a sixth sense from, like, growing up with my dad. Just, the vibe. You feel the vibe. The same reason. And to be clear, I've made the joke about the goatee. Not everyone with a goatee is abusive, but I'm telling you, there's a specific kind of white guy with a specific kind of goatee that gives off just evil, evil energy.
Okay, this is for birth certificate number starting with 954, rest of them withheld. Other information about me, not going to show you the document other than to do it like this, okay? So it exists. I'll provide it in court, okay? This one here is the durable power of attorney. This is me giving the power of attorney temporarily under the Appointment Act of 1951 to the Treasurer of the Treasury, okay? This is me telling
In Washington State, you lose firearms if you're arrested for DV. That's good.
them, this is barcode number 0860008758736, non-UCC 13-digit, okay? That's me putting them in charge of collecting on behalf of the beneficiaries of the Mahto Trust, who happen to own the all-caps name that's copyrighted and trademarked. So this is a cease and desist affidavit, part code number 086000.
I try not to say it definitively because people are like, you don't have proof he's a bad guy. Isn't that just, like, so annoying and frustrating? Like, and on, like, some level, like, you're like, yes, I understand where you're coming from, but some people who have not been, like, abused as kids are so trusting of people, and it's wild to me. Sometimes it's like, hey, like... Sorry, I don't even know how to properly articulate what I'm trying to, I guess. Sometimes it's frustrating being a person who isn't as trusting. And it would be nice to be trusting. I'm sure that's a nice way to go about life. But, like, when you can't trust people and you see people trusting people that shouldn't be trusted, kind of frustrating.
08758-712, okay? Separate document telling the Attorney General, all of them to close out the cases, return the bonds. In other words, you've been caught, you're criminals, okay? This is the apostille for my sons, okay? This is my proof that...
And then you sound crazy for trying to, like, explain.
Logan Gabriel Ream. I'm not going to show you anything on here other than there is a public number assigned to this, as well as Marcus Jr. That means that on paper, they now belong to the Mahto Trust. They are my property. There will be no displaying their names. They're all copyrighted. Once you do that, you agree to the fee schedule associated with the Mahto Trust, and I will file liens against you for doing it. I don't care
That would be illegal. Filing false liens is a felony.
who you are. My babies belong to me. They are not your corporate assets. Either father, who am biblically endowed.
Okay, well, we don't follow the Bible as a matter of law, so that doesn't matter. You can have your personal beliefs. They don't get to dictate the law. Cthulhu Flower with a 15-stream streak says, it's everything about what they and how much they say. It screams it in nonverbal communication to those who have lived around it so long. Yeah.
With all rights over them. Hereby rebuke your Title 4D 666.
Thank you, non-binary. I wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, too. Thanks for all the kind words.
Actions against my children in the name of Jesus Christ. I am absolutely not afraid to weather the storm. I am the storm. I'm here whenever you're ready.
Oh my god, he is the storm. What he's talking about makes it clear his children are in the Washington foster care system. That's for the best. That's good that they're not around him. This is something that pushes people into sovereign citizen stuff a lot, is interactions with CPS, with getting in trouble for DV, or having their children taken away. That's a big trigger point for people getting into sovereign citizenry.
Okay, this is the Pierce County, okay?
This guy he actually scares me a little bit. He's got a vibe that is not great.
This is the de jure county government here. Do you understand that? It's different from the corporation known as Pierce County, which has their own little courts down.
Chief skid marks need some help. Okay, see, no, that's a weirdly specific thing too. Like my dad, who this guy reminds me a little bit of, had skid marks on his whitey-tighty underpants. He always wore whitey-tighties, and he always had a big skid mark all along the crack of where your butt would be. I genuinely don't think he washed his ass. It was disgusting.
Downtown, okay? Different places. This is where you file records like UCC1s. So this is what I filed on there. Auditor, Pierce County, Washington.
Gives me the same vibes Call did. I can see that.
202205230691.
I was talking about my dad.
This says I own that all caps name. They were put on notice back on May 23rd, 2022. This is proof, okay? Pierce County, stamped by them, right? Certified copy. Says it's been put in there. You understand? Well, this one is a copy of that, but I have well, no.
That can be diet related. Yeah. He also was a severe alcoholic, which did not help.
Certified copy, okay? So that means lawfully, even according to their rules, I've complied with everything, or at least I can prove my intent, okay? So again, we're dealing with criminals. I don't expect any lawful activity from these people. This is the U.S. Department of State authentications request dated June 16th, 2022 to get my sons authenticated for Kenya as well. They're being transferred there.
Oh, is this why he wants to move to Kenya? Do they not have an extradition treaty with the United States or something? Because he probably wants to get his kids from child services and then fuck off to another country so they can't, you know, protect the kids from him again. Kagami says, you know the phrase, every woman knows an assault victim, but no man knows an assaulter? As a man, I know 3 victims and unfortunately also knew one of their assailants. I've also been helping my wife learn her mom abused her emotionally somewhat, so I get the trusting people thing you're talking about because I've had to learn to be less trusting. Yeah.
So again, that is the intent. I'm the only owner of record now anyway. I'm the only person that's authorized to do it. Anybody who thinks that they can challenge that, please reply with your full commercial liability and all of your information for your insurer attached, okay?
Amber with the 55-stream streak says, slowly building it back up after our streak was stolen from us in a grave miscarriage of justice.
Okay. City of Gig Harbor is going to learn the hard way because I filed a claim with their insurance carrier. I'm going to be doing the same with Kitsap County. That I do not play around. I do not negotiate with criminals. You guys will return my property, or I'm going to continue to expose you publicly for the racketeers that you are.
You consider this publicly? How many views does this have? It says 161 views.
We, the people, absolutely have a right to those 19 guaranteed services that you are contractually obligated to provide to us according to the Constitution. And when you openly and
That
willingly
would be legally, not contractually.
refuse to enforce those rights in favor of bar association requirements to the contrary, that's open treason by sedition against the U.S. Constitution and your oaths of office. I'm not going to argue with you. I think a grand jury will agree with me. And there is no statute of limitations for this, so don't forget about that. One day, it is my sincere belief the people of Washington State will wake up, realize you're just a corporation based out of Washington, D.C. with a P.O. box number, and you're out here exercising authority under Title I, Section... Anyway, Part 17, 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the U.S. Constitution, which gives you plenary authority out here, provided that you actually lawfully exercise it. And when you refuse to follow the law, you steal people's firearms, that's just an end run around the Second Amendment.
He's so salty he doesn't have his gun. Guns, plural, would be my guess. Just a Peach with a dollar tip says, the places he's talking about have lawyers who will eat him alive and then go do charity work.
You're not fooling anybody. It's just that there's not enough people around here yet that
More people in your chats have seen this video than have watched the video directly. How many people do I have right now? 230? Yeah.
Understand that 25 state nationals who own the land in Washington State still, according to the U.S. Code, constitute a grand jury. Am I wrong about that? Any of you in the Bar Association, any of you foreign members of the bar, you want to argue with me about that? Do me a favor before you do. Just go ahead and point out in the Constitution, the original organic one, where your name even appears.
The organic
Go ahead, take your time.
constitution.
You're a foreign agent. That's all you are. You're fraudulently inducing people into your...
Does he not know that, like, many of the founding, like, people, the founding fathers, the framers of the Constitution, were lawyers?
courts.
Like, does he know? Does he know?
Why? For profit. Because the state, the government, they have no other way of making money, people. All of our economy is based on debt. That's what the Fed's about. It's a corporation. It's no more federal than Federal Express. It has a DUNS number. It's a for-profit entity. Just like the state of Washington is. Just like every corporation is. Just like every child protective service agency is.
No.
They have a DUNS number, people. It's like Toys R Us slapping badges on people and saying, here, we're law and authority. No. What you don't realize...
If Toys R Us had control of the largest military in human history, they could probably do that.
...is that you were converted to
The thing.
U.S. citizens without your knowledge when your parents got you a birth certificate and social
Oh
security
yeah,
number.
Amber.
And
I think most people know that.
unless you go out and
This guy's deranged.
conduct 7 different steps to free yourself from this at a minimum that I've seen, guess what? You remain their property. Nobody told you you were. Nobody told you you're responsible for it, apparently. I don't think you are. Why? Because it's fraudulently induced. How are you responsible for fraud? I don't see how that works. Sorry. I think the jury's
We're
gonna
all
agree
Toys
with me
R
on
Us
that.
kids.
And again, bring any charges you want against me. I'm a bondservant of Jesus Christ. If he wants me in jail, there I will preach. But I have to believe that with the 7-fold armor of God, I wouldn't be doing this if he didn't tell me to do it. I'm not saying I talk to Jesus. I'm not crazy.
All right, look, that's, crazy isn't a clinical diagnosis. No one has ever been clinically diagnosed as, quote, crazy. So I'm with you there. Are you behaving rationally? No, not that either.
I'm level-headed. I believe in peace and lawful solutions to all issues, so you can save your horse shit. Never threatened anybody. You can't prove I've out there done anything fraudulent. You can't prove I've done anything. But again, I'm sure you jackasses will try, because that's what criminals do. So anyway, bring it. I don't care. All right, so it says we've received your authentications request. So this is tacit proof, June 16, 2022, that was the intent. So my sons are now based in Kenya. End of discussion. It's not...
I said it verbally. My sons are now based in Kenya. They've never been there in their lives. They never set foot on the continent of Africa. But I'm telling you, home base is Kenya now, motherfuckers. Armor of God, is he the new Bible man? I wish, if only it would cover his nips. You all have not had to look at this man shirtless this whole time. I have.
Open for discussion unless somebody out there has a higher authority than I do and can prove it. I'm holding superior title to my sons right here. Okay?
Nipples look too tiny for his body.
Will be no further discussion. I'll be posting
Overthought says Kenyans. Shit, here we go again.
all of this in Pierce County, Inc. in their court system soon. So putting everybody that's associated with that case on notice. Here's the fee schedule. If you'd like to disagree with me, you go ahead and respond. You have 3 days. Your silence is tacit agreement with the facts stated
Not how any of this works. You can't say silence is tacit agreement.
herein. Here's the new parenting plan, by the way. And here's your upcoming 1099As that I'll be back charging you for all the income I paid that was fraudulently induced, over $144,000 that you stole to traffic our children.
He paid $144,000 in child support,
Using the state of
and he thinks he's gonna get it back? That's funny.
Washington as your co-conspirator. That
His buttery nips. He doesn't have butter nips, okay? That's my thing. Only I have the butter nips.
DSHS corporation.
Wasn't it crazy? Isn't gender wild? What the fuck? There was a time within the last decade where on camera I licked butter off my nipples, and it was not erotic in any way. And yet here we are, and it would be very different now. The world is weird.
For-profit entity who fraudulently filed under Title
You can theoretically go find that video.
4D666 bonds against the estates.
I did a charity thing once where if we raised $10,000 for St. Jude's, I would lick butter off my nipples on camera. And we did, so I did. This was before I was out of the closet. I was still presenting as male and hadn't been on hormones. So it's not fun. I prefer Femhana, me too!
Of not only myself, but our offspring. Congratulations. Anybody that's on the other side. I stand for Jesus Christ and my babies. Unapologetically. So, I hope
Bravo Needs Bacon with $1 tip says, fee schedule, drink!
you find this in the spirit of education and love in which it is offered, friends.
Yeah, the belief that silence is consent is a huge red flag.
Please take a look at the Mahto tribe. Please take a look at starting to educate yourselves and getting into small groups. Again, we support only peaceful resolutions and solutions to all problems. We are a friend of all individuals who want to educate themselves and free themselves from the tyranny of being a U.S. citizen. Wake up to what a state national is. Stop watching the Truman Show on TV, people. It's designed to distract you. Okay? It's a very narrow path. Read your Bible.
It's
We're
weird
in the
how
last
transition
days. Look
changes
around.
the legality of your nipples. In fairness, it changes the nipples a lot, too.
Okay? Read
Very
Revelation.
different nipple situation than a decade ago going on after hormones.
Ships burning off.
If anything, like I said, this guy's got oddly tiny nipples. I think he could take some estrogen just to equal them out a little bit.
Offshore, all that stuff. This isn't crazy conspiracy stuff if you can't disprove it. If you can't disprove it, you're a lemming. Think about that, people. The Bible predicted the population would follow blindly. Wake up. There's only 1.1 million of us state nationals who've attempted to correct our status at the State Department. There's 331 million U.S. citizen slaves. If you don't understand the difference between Title 8, Section 1101 Alpha 21 and 23 and 22, that's why you're a slave. Educate yourselves. Get on high frequency radio. They got a great program at SPC University. God bless, friends. This is Marcus, Chief Bondservant of Jesus Christ with the Mahto tribe, asking you to peacefully awake and move forward with one. Come together. Let's find peaceful and lawful solutions to everything. God bless.
He's an interesting fella. I like him. I mean, I don't like him, but I like the content. I'm enjoying whatever this is. What is this? Like, he posted a day ago his own tribal council meeting. He has his own tribal council. I wonder if he knows Marcel, because Marcel does this same thing with claiming he has his own, you know, society. I wonder if they'd get along or if they would consider each other competition, you know? Fenekagami says, I'm guessing they're getting the silence is consent thing from the fact that if you aren't rebelling against the government, you are consenting to being governed. Plus, courts take silence as answers too, but yeah, guys like this take silence as consent, often into interpersonal relationships too, and no one here needs that to be debunked too.
Good morning, friends. Chief Mahto of the Mahto tribe of American Indian non-U.S. citizen nationals. What are we talking about today? I want to talk to you about secret societies. It's going to be a short video, okay? I'm going to start doing these in little snippets. Now, what you're going to notice is that I do not give you or don't read from anything when I speak to you. I will tell you where I've received this information or retrieved it from and let you do your own research.
Do your own research. You said the thing.
And that's because your interpretation of what you're reading is far more important than whatever I might tell you it means.
But let me prime you so you come to the same conclusions I already did.
Make sense? As always, in the Mahto tribe, you have to educate yourselves. It's one of the prerequisites, changing your status back from a U.S. citizen to an American Indian national. Why?
What is this Anglin lighting? Men tend to do this? I'm not trying to shit on men. Just something I've noticed. Men, if you don't have experience taking photos of yourself or taking pictures in general, rule number one to filming yourself, film from at least eye level. You probably want to go a higher angle, though. See how the camera's here? and it's higher than my eye level, and also I'm well lit with like a ring light that lights me so I don't look like I'm in the shadows. I just don't get it. You could literally just fuck around with this for 5 seconds and see what looks better, and they just don't. Nemesaur with a $50 tip says, donation for the Void Boy Fund. Thank you very much. $15 away from the next costume month. It never ends. They like the power angle. It makes them look bigger to shoot from their eye level. See, to me, it doesn't look like that, though. It looks like they just don't know how to film. Like, at minimum, then they should go eye level or something, or at least light it. What is this?
Because we do not live by their statutes, just like Christ said. What does that
You'll
mean?
never forget some of Gonzalo's angles, shivers. It's okay. He can't hurt anyone anymore. Sorry, H-Baird. H-Baird said, ooh, he's the chief bondservant of Jesus Christ. I wonder how many direct reports he has.
That means in the United States, you can be one of two things. You can be a U.S. citizen, or you can be an American Indian national, or what they refer to as an American national. So what we've chosen to do at the tribe is to exercise our right under our laws of this country to go ahead and expatriate and return to our status as American Indians, American nationals. In other words, we don't want anything to do with your corporate bureaucracy. We appreciate all of our public servants, but what we've come to realize is something about secret societies. What does that mean? That means that there's an organization out there that runs them all, and you don't know they exist. Do you have a Masonic lodge in your town?
Yeah, I'm like 5 blocks away from one.
In my little hometown of 4,000 people, we had one. Almost every small city in America does. Why?
Because traditionally it's been a men's club. It's like a fraternity for adults. Their membership is way low compared to what it used to be.
Because if you look at the head of all of the Masonic lodges, it's the King of England. That's a fact, people. That means that if you're a Mason, if you've joined a secret society, why do you think that's secret, dummy? It's because it's treason.
No, a secret society generally means that their rights and when I say rights, I don't mean like their rights, R-I-G-H-T-S, I mean rights as in R-I-T-E-S, rights, not an E in there, whatever, you know, like religious rights, that kind of stuff is secretive. It doesn't mean that they're like evil.
To take an oath to...
The Masons are a gentleman's club and a charitable foundation, and don't forget the Shriners that drive around in their little cars and their cute hats.
A foreign organization or a foreign nation. Now you, Mr. Judge, Mr. Law Enforcement Officer, Mr. Everyday American.
All right, I think we've seen enough of this guy today, and we have seen a lot. I am going to save him. By that I mean save this channel in my folder. No one can save him, methinks. Their rights are esoteric, secret, yeah. So we'll probably view this guy again. I would like to get more into his mythology and learn more about him, but we'll move on for now, because we've spent an inordinate amount of this stream on him. Benikagami says, by the way, on the I really want stuff to stop happening thing before, yesterday my dog got attacked by one of our neighbor's dogs. No, she won't eat, barely drinks, or goes on walks. We have a vet appointment on the 27th, but I'm looking for any advice because she's a rescue and I think she's depressed and re-traumatized. Any advice would be appreciated. Oh my goodness, that is really sad. Just be there for her and be gentle and try and be there. I think that's the best you can do until you can make sure she's physically okay. Bravo Needs Bacon says, I hate the term public servant, especially when it's abused by sobsits, Moors, and whatever this clown is. It's used as a very weird derogatory term by them.
My driver's license. I need your effective payment. I don't have no necessity to give you my commercial property without any reason.
Driver's license and
He's claiming his driver's license is his own commercial property. Incorrect. Your driver's license is the property of the state in which it was issued. In the United States, at least.
It's data.
Driver's license
How
and
are
insurance.
you today,
Hey,
sir?
man, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Okay.
I'm here to help. I stopped, or he attempted to stop me while I was in the midst of going my way.
After you cut through
And
a
if there's-
funeral home and drove a funeral procession and drove down the median, yes. So I need your driver's license and insurance.
He passed a funeral procession? Don't do that. You're not supposed to do that.
Why?
He just told you. I just told you. Yeah.
Is that a violation?
Yes, it is a violation.
Of what right? Of what
Driver's
code?
license. Listen, I'm not playing
What
your game
law?
for too much longer.
I'm
Okay.
not trying to play a
You
game
are.
with you,
Driver's
sir.
license and insurance.
I'm not looking to play a game with you.
Okay.
I would like to know do you have a bona fide claim?
Driver's license and insurance, or
I have no problem. Are you hearing me not refuse to give him my license?
More than 15
I have no
minutes.
refusal,
Wait, come back.
but it is going to take a payment.
Okay.
Am I
I'm not refusing, but you have to pay me to give you the license I lawfully am required to give you. Genius.
not entitled
I'll pay
to,
at the station.
Am
Let's
I
go.
not entitled to an effective amount of payment?
Phoenix, Freemartin and Freemason have nothing to do with each other. I'll get into it on a future tinfoil video, because I don't want to spend a bunch of time on it now. But just know they're not related, they just sound similar.
Or self-determination? I can determine the value of my own time. I can determine the value of my own private property.
Okay, perfect. Now your
Is it
driver's
not
license.
my right to pick who
Once
is
again, your license is not your private property, it's the property of the state.
my authority?
It's not your private or personal property, it is the property of the state. They can take it whenever they want.
You are not authority to me. I'm just here to help.
Okay, driver's license and insurance.
I would love to give it to you.
Okay.
Do you have $10,000 effective?
Yeah, I do. It's at the station. Let's go. Driver's
Okay,
license
let's
and
go
insurance.
ahead.
He wants $10,000 to show him his license. It's at the station. Let's go.
And do
We're
this
not
contract
going
for
anywhere.
exchange.
We're not going anywhere. We're doing this. You're not going anywhere. The only place you're going is in the back of his car if you don't give me your driver's license and insurance right now.
I conditionally accept
Oh,
it.
by the way, chat, tomorrow we're doing the next patron and YouTube member-only live stream, so if you want to be a part of that and hang out and watch some stuff together, probably a movie, maybe some other random conspiracy stuff, make sure you either join the Patreon as a paid member at patreon.com/Hannah Reloaded, or become a member on YouTube.
Do you
Okay,
have a bona
step
fide
out of the
claim?
car.
Do you have a
Step out
bona
of the
fide
car.
claim?
Step out of the car. Step out of the car. You're failing to provide identification. Oh, hey, let's get another car here, please. You need to give me your driver's license and insurance.
Why is it that I would give you my private property for nothing in exchange? Are you coming between me and my God? Are you not allowing me to serve God as authority?
I
Can
need your
serve
driver's
you?
Are you
license.
not allowing me to serve God as authority? Sir, this is a traffic stop. What are you talking about?
And insurance.
Is it that you are insisting that you are authority to me?
Driver's license
Are
and
you
insurance.
compelling me to believe that government was formed so that government could control people? Or the people
Yes! Yeah!
believe that government was
Are you compelling me to believe that the government was formed to control people? Yes? Like, yes? Like, I don't really care what your beliefs about the reason for society, but like, broad terms, I guess. Whatever. We need your license.
so that government could control people?
Hot take, 14-year-old who just heard of Plato's cave allegory here. Have you considered that sometimes society is coercive?
People or the people to have the right to control government? I must uphold my duty to
I
uphold
hope the play's good, Nemesaur, whatever it is.
my rights. If it is that I violate those, then I may subject myself to your authority or jurisdiction. If it is true that you violate me in any way, shape, or form, then you all will be held
driver's
liable,
license
and the
attached
judicial
to the photo.
system will uphold the justice inside of the meritocracy. As simple as that.
Are you going to give me your driver's license or not?
Do you have payment effective immediately? I'm not belligerent. I'm not combative.
I'm not belligerent. I'm just demanding 10,000 American dollars to show you my driver's license.
But I
Get out
can't imply authority.
Okay.
Are you insisting that I must abandon my belief? Must I proceed without faith in Christ and faith in the goodness and faith in myself? I must be competent. I must believe in the authority that I have in myself.
Your belief is
This
your
is
belief, but we
valid
have a
by
job to do it,
logical
and we have the
fallacies,
right to do it.
But it is true that I must uphold my duties, even if it is that you were to break my windows, pull me out, do me dirty, and get me in it. I would have this on record for the judicial
Absolutely,
system.
and we don't
And
want
the
to
judge
do
would
that,
indeed
and I will
rule in
have
my
that on
favor,
record.
and I
We
would
do not
indeed
want
be
to do that.
compensated
We
for
would
all
like
of the
your
penalties and
we would like your
liabilities that you
compliance
all
to the
agencies
law.
racked up.
Driver's license and insurance.
I will let you know now on the record that you have been noticed that you all are racking up liabilities for the
Okay,
time
I
in
don't.
which that I am
I don't
staying.
care about anything you have to
If it is
say.
true that you all are going to beat me or something, or that's what you all intend.
We don't
on
want to do
doing,
any
or
of that.
Brutalizing the vehicle, all of that is just going to be penalized and liabilities racked up.
We would like you to comply with the
I am
rules of the
not-
road. Where
okay,
you're
I
stopped for an
am
offense,
not-
you produce your license.
I am not failing to produce my license. You all are failing to produce your payment.
Okay.
You're either going to need a payment or a bona fide claim. Brother,
Okay.
you don't seem to be all that friendly.
Okay.
You can't
I'm very
expect
friendly
me.
because you haven't been ripped out of your vehicle yet.
I'm looking to work with you all.
We're just dealing with a traffic violation, and you're escalating it to something other than that right now. And there might be reasons you're escalating that. We don't know.
But if it is true that you all are going to get ready to bust windows,
Yeah.
oh, you just hit the car, all of these are going to be penalties and liabilities that you rack
You can
up
take
on
up what
your
you
own.
want. We're just asking you
If
to
it is
comply.
true that you all are now about to beat on me or
Nope.
any way I
At the
have a
moment,
right
we're
to
asking
seek
you to
remedy
comply and
in court
produce your
as well.
driver's license.
I'll give it one more shot. Last chance, okay? We've been here long enough. I told you.
Are you the highest authority here?
What do you got?
Are you the highest authority here at this traffic stop? Yeah.
What do you got?
How may I
Was he trying to imply Jesus? Like, you're not the highest authority, Jesus is.
help you?
Can you roll it down a little bit more so we could have a normal discussion at least?
Would you mind backing up and I would indeed lower the window for this brother here?
Okay.
Would you back up so
Okay.
it is that I can have a one-on-one?
Yeah.
How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
How may I help you?
Well, this officer pulled you over, so he needs.
May I stop you there first?
Go ahead.
He did not pull me over. I voluntarily stopped after he waved at me in the road.
He didn't pull me over. I voluntarily stopped after he waved me down.
Okay.
I am hey, how may I help you? I'm a civil guy. My brother may need some help, or he may be looking to tell me, hey, So I'm stopping to see what it is that I may help him with.
Okay.
That's the first part.
Okay.
Please continue, brother.
So, he's stopping you for a traffic violation. Therefore, you are required to produce ID as a driver on the roadway.
Absolutely. I could understand that from that point of view. Now, can you understand my point of view?
Your point of view isn't lawful. Your point of view is wrong. Look, everyone is entitled to their opinions, but there is a difference. Our biggest problem isn't that everyone has an opinion. Our biggest problem is that everyone is confusing opinions for facts or opinions for material reality. There's a difference. No, you do not have a right to a separate reality. Incorrect?
Because I study law and understand this.
An opinion is like, oh, I like pineapple on pizza. Not, I don't think the law is real.
Okay.
Why is it that I am compelled to be in the democracy and provide and consent
Why am
to-
I compelled to be in a democracy?
situation that I am not in my best
Letitia
interest?
liked
It's not
Patricia.
beneficial.
Thanks for following.
Why won't I shape the situation? Instead of saying no or denying him, why is it not that I make it beneficial for myself? It is my
do what?
property.
What's-
If he's compelling me to believe, hey, you owe me this license, I say, hey, okay, well, I don't mind giving it to you if you have payment for it because it's my property, just like it's my time.
But
Just
he's
like
not.
it's my
He's not
name.
looking to keep
He's
it.
saying- but
So-
still, he's looking to do something.
So
with it.
why
It's the
are you
person's
looking
property.
for? But why are you looking for money if he just wants to look at it?
I told him because it is something that has to do with law and on the record.
Okay.
If it is that I give him
But-
my property
but the law-
without anything,
But the law.
then it is
Okay,
that
let
I
me
am
stop you there.
implying
But the law.
jurisdiction.
But the law also states, as you know, because you said you studied it, you have to produce your license to an officer when it is requested
Hey, Letitia.
for no
How's it
payment.
going?
Now, let me go ahead and let you know that is not law.
like that email.
That
It
is
is.
indeed policy.
No.
These are called
That's
statutes and
that's
codes.
Illinois compiled statutes. That's
Exactly,
what it says.
statutes. These are for
That's law.
corporations. I have the right to uphold my inalienable rights.
You can uphold your rights. That's what rights are for you to uphold them. And you as a person driving on the roadways, that is a privilege
I don't
that
have
you
a-
have.
I don't mind letting you know that it is not a privilege for me. Maybe
Then what is it
a
for you?
privilege. It is a right. I have the
Okay.
right to travel freely.
And in agreement with exercising that right as a motorist on Illinois highways to drive upon these roads, you have to produce your ID when requested by a peace
Indeed.
officer.
Now you understand why I cannot provide you with my private property. Because if I provide you with my private property and you run me and say, hey, this is what he identified as, this guy on this piece of paper has already contracted with the state to abide by these laws and rules. So guess what? I give you that, I'm going away. Because I
So he thinks the only thing keeping him out of jail is not showing the driver's license? What's on his record?
did something wrong and I identified with who I was not. But if it is true that you don't know me and you cannot compel me to believe that I have some sort of contract with the state or that I owe you anything.
How come he said he's traveling? Sovereign citizens believe that by calling driving traveling, that they can drive without a driver's license, due to a misreading of both an old edition of Black's Law Dictionary and several old state Supreme Court decisions. They believe that they can travel freely, but only driving requires a license. So they're playing a semantic game. They believe if by definition they are not driving, but simply traveling via their private automobile, they don't need a driver's license. It's nonsense. It's like bullshit. It's just total magical thinking gobbledygook nonsense.
Then how is it that I must oblige?
As a motorist, you must oblige.
I'm not a motorist. I mean, that's a description. That's
Okay,
up to your,
so
that's up
I
to
think
your
we
determination.
are at the point, since I don't know your first name, I'll call you sir.
That's a reference that I typically let people go by.
Okay.
Especially when they're acting under color of law.
Okay,
So now I
so-
must ask you before you go ahead with your sir. Are you intentionally looking to violate codes and statutes, federal, being deprivation of rights under
I
color
would
of
never
law?
violate federal statues. I love those things, especially the Lincoln Memorial.
What's
Because
going
it is true
to
that you are indeed
what
now infringing upon
what's
my
going
rights.
to what's going to happen, sir, is if you do not provide your ID and
Hot take, as someone who's been to DC and traveled to the various monuments, the Lincoln Memorial's up there. The Jefferson Memorial, surprisingly good, though. The Jefferson Memorial was pretty fucking good. I didn't even like Jefferson as a person. Good memorial, though.
step out, we will force entry to this vehicle.
Also, if you're looking for some place to maybe stage your scientific plot to clean the Hudson River of its radioactive elements, the Jefferson Memorial is a pretty good place for it.
I conditionally accept upon presentation of a bona fide claim. Would you like to pay for it?
No, I would not.
No, so it is that you are saying that you are going to take it, you are stealing from me, or are you saying
No.
that you are coming after what you are owed?
No, we are
You are owed this license?
using it for identification. No one's taking it, no one's stealing it,
How
no
are
one's
you going
borrowing
to
it.
utilize my
That's not
property
up for
for
you.
identification without me affirming my property as identification? I'm not looking to identify.
Okay, sir,
If
what
it is
I'm
that
letting you know right now is I think we're at an impasse to where you are not following lawful direction from us, so we will force entry into the vehicle.
I am
is what I'm
agreeing.
letting you know.
I am indeed agreeing to oblige to whatever it is that you need
Okay.
me to
Not
do.
getting paid for your license.
But it is going to be a bilateral agreement. It cannot be a unilateral agreement because if I allow it to be
Not an
a
agreement, it's an obligation. What do you not
unilateral
understand?
agreement, then it is that you are going to be authority and
Not been to Monticello. I went to George Washington's former home. That was pretty interesting.
you're going to have jurisdiction. So then once this goes
So
to court,
is the-
judge is going to
is
say,
the
hey,
bi-
this guy
is
is
the
property of the
bilateral
state, and the
agreement-
state was allowed to
Is
do
the
what they need to
bilateral
do.
agreement you wanting money from us for
No.
your ID? Then what's the
No.
agreement?
We can have the agreement that if I am, we presented 3 agreements so far. One, the agreement that I am going to give you my license upon presentation of obligation, meaning a bona fide claim stating that I have already owed you my license. Now, if I don't have that, which I know you don't, the second option would be to compensate me for it in a way, shape, or form. Wherever way you may think is beneficial. Hey, I can have you do this for me. I can have you do that. Just make it beneficial. Or have the payment ready that I have affirmed for what I need for my time and my property. Or the third option was, I said you all can remove all these vehicles, remove all of your property, and we can go about our pay.
That's not going to happen.
Well, what if I go ahead and put my license up right here? Or my property, should I say, to make it more clear.
Your
We
property.
are at the point where you are now under arrest, sir, for obstructing. You are now under arrest.
Under arrest upon presentation of bona fide claim.
Step out so we can place you under arrest without having to damage your property. If you do not step out now, we will force entry into your vehicle.
I conditionally accept stepping out
Then step out.
I conditionally accept.
Then
step out now.
Upon presentation
Then
of
step
bona
out
fide
now.
claim.
To step out now
I
is right
also
now.
would like to put you all on notice now that if it is that you all intend on getting violent with me or aggressive, please do not mistake
We
any
intend on
energy
doing what we
redirection
need to do to effect an arrest.
Dancing clear to go on the other side. If it
Yeah,
is true
we're
that
clear.
you are now
Well, that's a weak window. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed that window smash because he hit it a bunch of times and my stupid monkey brain goes, oh yeah, hit it, you know. But also, that was a really inefficient window smash. I've seen him taken out in one hit, maybe two. I've seen 3. This guy hit that window like 6 times. That was bad form, or it was an excellent window. I guess I'm not sure which, but like, damn.
Don't reach for anything.
Yeah, that was that was not a great smash.
You want to take your seatbelt off for us?
I conditionally accept being arrested upon presentation of bona fide.
I conditionally accept being arrested. Great! I conditionally accept arresting you. We finally came to an agreement.
claim. You are all going to be
Step out of the car.
Come on, just step out. Just come on.
You just hit me in my dick?
You're resisting.
Wow.
Stop resisting and just walk out of
Damn.
And then they get too aggressive.
Get the legs. Get the legs.
It seems like he just grounded himself real hard. Oh, he's just going dead weight. Oh, he's gonna get hit with such a fucking obstruction charge. God damn.
Just left eye, you alright?
Obstruction and resisting.
Nope, I'm good. Alright, let's get the cuff on him. Who's got the other cuff? This is fun. Give me a second set of cuffs. Wait, close, bring it close. We just need this other one.
Damn, I like white people though. Anyone never thought I'd be this black man.
Yeah, let's pull that arm out.
Hey, you guys.
Just help him pull by the
Just to let you know, you are now lawfully ordered to owe me $10 million. Hey, just let you know, you are now lawfully ordered to owe me $10 million.
Okay, chat, I just learned a hot tip. I need to say this. You are lawfully owe me $10 million. No takesy backsies, no reverses, no me owing you any money. Boom, got you. I just learned we can do that. I cast you owe me an inordinate amount of money.
Hey, Judge, please rock with me on this one.
Alright, just put your arm out.
You're hurting me.
Put your arm out. All you have to do is let your arm out. Put your arm out.
How about we get up?
Freely let your arm out on your own and we'll be able to get up. Let your arm out, sir.
Good luck collecting that. Joke's on you! I have all of your social security numbers! I don't.
Arm out. Let your arm out.
Can't not hurt me anymore.
To cuff you, okay?
We almost got it, Taylor.
You're good. Just pulling on this one.
Stop resisting.
Where's the other cup at? It's right in my hand. Got it, Sean?
You don't have any? I will accept your labor as payment.
Alright, I think we're good.
Wagon.
That's him, right?
We got both arms. Roll him off, Tyler, your way.
I got his legs and locked up.
Watch his feet.
You guys good?
Yeah,
Would I take a dozen paw print chocolate peanut butter cookies in lieu of $10 million? I do like cookies, and paw prints are fucking adorable.
You know what?
I'll think about it.
I'm
You guys are good. I think you guys should check on me, man.
Some zip ties.
Now they've conscripted your labor into my labor force, it's time to begin building the Hannah Pyramid.
Hold on.
It will dwarf the Bass Pro Shops Pyramid. No longer will these fishermen mock me.
Zip ties is crazy work, bro. I'm not that
You've been
belligerent.
kicking and resisting the whole time.
Dude, anybody would do that. With 8 grown men coming to attack them.
Oh, you go.
It's in his check.
True Halloween Town, true. No, I won't be standing on a giant pile of DVDs. We're building the pyramid so that I can be entombed with my earthly possessions, aka all of my Blu-rays, so that in the afterlife I'll have stuff to watch.
Can you answer it?
Wait a minute, man. You could answer it if you're more cooperative. That's
I
all.
accept your cheese lasagna, Terradona. You are released from your contract.
I actually didn't deny any times. I think it was all. I think everyone
Solus, legally Australia doesn't exist, so that doesn't count.
will realize that you all were the ones that were not agreeing.
Sit straight up. You got double locks on the back?
What do you grab it for? Let me pat you down real quick.
I'm gonna put your shoe on. All right, you want to stand up, or you're gonna freely walk back with us?
What car?
This one. Whoever's. 64. All right. Tyler, do you smell cannabis in there? Yeah.
Oh, he's got a
That's
bunch of
what,
weed in the car.
Yeah.
What
That's what.
state was this? I'm assuming it's something where that's illegal. Illinois. Is it still illegal to have marijuana recreationally?
What I was smelling through the window right away.
It's a legal state? Okay, good. Like, he's an idiot, but I don't want him to get in trouble for something that shouldn't get anyone in trouble, you know? Looks like he just left the dispensary or something. Those look like official bags, unless dealers have gotten much better bags, which is possible. So that's like a decent bit of weed, but not unreasonable if someone's like a daily smoker.
So you had one of those that were like, I'm not gonna roll down the window until...
I wasn't even here for any of it.
Oh, really?
I'm just telling it and inventory in it.
He has a Bible in his the backseat pocket of his car. Open bottle of Tito's, but it is in the back. That's what you're supposed to do if you are moving alcohol around, is to put it in the back like that. It can still be charged as drinking and driving in some states because it's all still part of the same cabin, but...
60, I'll just throw in that one as you get out that way, just in case it might be a different person.
Legal, but you can't have it in a car? Interesting. Like, in Michigan, I know there was a thing where if you, like, went to the dispensary... This is when it was just medical, because I had a medical card when it was only medically legal, and you legally had to have a special lockbox that you had 2 keys for. You had to have 1 key. And I forget where the other one went. But anyway, if you were transporting the marijuana, it had to be in the lockbox in the back seat of your car. Or not in the back seat, in the trunk of your car. Locked up. So I don't know.
Antonio was...
You can have it in the dispensary sealed bags. So he had opened it.
is charged with felony, possession of cannabis, and possession of a controlled substance, and misdemeanor.
Oh, you had mushrooms, too. Don't do stupid sob sit shit if you're doing other illegal stuff. God damn it. Again, I don't want anyone going to jail for fucking non-violent drug crimes. I don't give a shit. Fuck.
Resisting, obstructing an officer. He received citations for improperly passing a funeral procession, illegal transportation of alcohol.
What a dipshit.
Operating.
You were carrying illegal substances, and then you decided to do a traffic infraction that would bring attention to yourself? Commit one crime at a time. If you have illegal things in your car, you drive like you are a 97-year-old on her way to church. You drive slowly, you drive the speed limit, but safely. You do not do anything that brings attention to yourself if you're driving around with illegal stuff in your car.
An uninsured motor vehicle, operating a vehicle with an expired registration, and possession of cannabis outside an approved container.
All right, let's move on.
What's your date of birth, Mr. Gray?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. 772 is my date of birth.
Can you say that again? Go ahead, say what you were about to say.
I have a motion before the court, Your Honor.
Let me first start. Do you need a lawyer, sir?
No, Your Honor.
City of Detroit versus Christopher Gray. Case numbers SB 1357945 counts 1, 2, and 3. SB 1191985 counts 1 and counts 2. SB 1629749 counts 1 and counts 2. SB 1267865 counts 1 and counts 2 and counts 3. Appearance for the record, please. State your name for the record, please.
Christopher Lamar Gray.
All right, today is the date and time set for a pretrial, and then there's warrants on the other matters. I'm going to enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. I'm going to give you a $0 bond. And I'll recall the warrants. What is your motion, sir?
I have a motion to strike and dismiss.
What are the bases?
Basis of federal rules of civil procedure.
This isn't A, this isn't a civil procedure. B, this is a state level court. I recognize the judge. He is not a federal court. He's a Michigan state court. So A, this is not civil procedure. B, this is not federal. The rules of federal civil procedure. This is neither federal or civil. You got both. You had a chance to get at least one of them right. You got them both wrong. This is a state-level criminal case.
Procedure. Number one, there's no claim. There's no ratification of the claim.
There is a claim. There is a. Do you want me to read out I waived the reading of the information. You want me to read the allegations that have been made into the record? Do you need me to do that?
No, I don't. No, I don't, Your Honor.
I deny your motion on that basis. What else do you have to say?
What else? You deny my motion because of what, Your Honor?
Yes.
There is no real.
I denied your motion because there is a and this is criminal procedure, not civil procedure. But I denied your motion because there is an allegation here.
Yeah, this is the Zoom court.
You're saying, Your Honor, you're saying this is a criminal matter?
Yes.
Okay, well then we need the corpus delicti. And
okay, if you didn't even know you were being charged with a criminal action instead of a civil action, you should not be your own lawyer. No one should ever be their own lawyer, but especially not if you don't know if you're charged with civil or criminal. Oh, God.
And so that's what I'm asking for. If there was a criminal matter, basically what you're telling me is that something has happened. Someone has either been damaged or someone has or either someone has been damaged or someone has something has been come up missing. And if that's the case,
he's trying to explain corpus delicti to a judge. Sir, the judge is aware of what the definition of corpus delicti is.
Then that means that there is a crime. And if there's a crime, then there is the what do you have that's saying that I did the crime? What?
Not even it's just the corpus delicti is evidence that a crime has been committed. It's basically evidence that the alleged crime has happened.
You're saying that I created this crime that hurt this person.
Not necessarily you. That is the allegation.
And if I hurt this person.
But that's what the trial is for, to determine if it was you. Corpus delicti is about whether or not the crime is even proven to have happened at all.
Person, and I created the crime, then you are the third thing that you have to have is the identification of the person. You have the identification of the person, which is me, but you don't have a person saying that they were hurt or damaged, or the crime that's saying what I did to hurt or damage the person. So how do you have a crime?
Okay. You went to law school?
No, Your Honor, I have not.
And where did you get that from? Where did you learn all that?
I've been studying for quite some time, trying to understand what's going on.
You're doing a bad job.
I have a different perspective.
Oh no, does he think the judge is actually impressed with him and doesn't understand the judge is being facetious?
As to what's being said that happened. I'm understanding more the procedure that is necessary for a crime to go for them to bring a crime forward. I'm understanding that a bit more.
And where did you get that understanding?
I've done some Cornell law studies. I've also sat down with a couple of friends who have had some issues.
I sat down with a couple of friends and I figured that meant I know more about the law than a judge.
I
read some stuff online I got from Cornell that I didn't understand. Does that count?
Wherever I could, just started to study the law. Just started to go back through Cornell law, started to figure out what was going on and to understand the nature of how what a crime is and everything else. So just a course of me searching it out.
And you're citing Cornell law for all of that you just said to the court?
No, what I did, Your Honor, was I realized that
I would believe that Cornell does have good articles on the law available online. The problem is not everyone can just read it and interpret it correctly. Like, I wouldn't. I'm not a lawyer. Like, I'm not getting information from that because I don't have the expertise or know-how to parse it in an accurate way that'll give me the information and allow me to, like, make it a part of my general knowledge correctly.
Biggest portions that you have to have is the corpus delicti, and that is in when you're being charged criminally.
What is a corpus delicti?
What do you mean? What is the corpus delicti?
What is your understanding of what corpus delicti is?
That is the corpus delicti is the law that's saying that there is a crime that's being committed. So in order to do that, you have to show the corpus delicti, which is you saying, this is what happened. This is how this person was damaged. There is no
the
person
officer on these dates, because I got a lot of them.
Cornell basically runs the Wikipedia of statutes. It's the Legal Information Institute. Oh, that's cool.
I
object. I object. The officer works. Okay, I apologize, Your Honor. I apologize, Your Honor. My apologies.
The officer says that you drove a vehicle that wasn't registered and wasn't titled, or titled or untitled, that you drove without a valid driver's license, that you drove without valid insurance. Again, on a different occasion, they allege that you drove without a valid driver's license and no insurance. And then on a different occasion, they allege that you drove without unregistered or untitled, or both, and drove without a valid driver's license, repeat offender, that you failed to have a trailer plate, and that you failed to secure a load on your vehicle. And on another occasion, on the same occasion that you failed to secure, that they allege you failed to secure the load, failed to have a trailer plate on your vehicle, that you didn't provide a valid driver's license. So those are the crimes. And in state of Michigan, whether you agree or not, they are crimes. So based on your motion and all of that stuff you talk about, corpus delicti and things like that, the court denies the motion. Okay, based on those reasons I just said. Now, how do you want to move forward? Because wait a minute, I'm not finished.
My apologies, Your Honor.
How do you want to move forward? Because in my experience, someone that comes into court, as you do, you do not want to take an offer. You do not believe that you need to have plates or registration or insurance. And you just disregard all of that portion of the law, and either you are going to move forward by having a trial, or you're going to take a deal. What do you want to do, sir?
Your Honor, first I want to put my objection on the record.
That's hilarious, H. Baird. I'd crack up if someone did that to me.
And at that point,
whatever your objection is noted. What do you want?
A physics conference?
Do, sir?
Was it at least like a really cool magnet that they were like, here's how our magnet is different than the competition? Or like, was it literally like, here's how magnets work, the atoms are aligned all in the same direction? Like,
you want a trial? You have two options: trial, or you want to take a deal.
Your Honor, I request a jury trial.
A jury trial.
A jury trial, yes, Your Honor.
Very good. Ms. Mathis, I need a jury trial date.
That's probably not going to go great for him.
Please.
That's an easy prediction when they're their own lawyer.
And if I may, Your Honor, what time is Mr. Gray presently docketed?
I don't even think it matters, but I'll tell you.
I think law clerking would be an okay job.
I don't think it matters.
As long as you get a judge that's not the worst.
He's got the newer cases and the older cases are pre-trial at 8:35. Christopher Lamar Gray, and then he had some in warrant status. I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cases into the record. You know what I want to ask, Mr. Gray, and you can choose to answer it or not.
Yes, Your Honor.
But what I surmise and what I've heard, and I don't know if you're alleging the same thing, is that and you basically did allege the same thing, that no crime has been committed because no person has been, the people of the state of Michigan are in danger of you driving without the proper documentation or anything like that. But I don't, and I'm gonna surmise, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you're gonna say that there's no jurisdiction to be able to pull you over because no one has been injured. Is that correct?
I think that what I'm saying is that
he thinks that what it's saying.
The city of Detroit had an officer pull me over to say that you're not following these rules. And my stance is, okay, well, then that's fine. If we're following rules, then therefore, let me make sure that you as well as are following the rules, because if
they are. And frankly, if you want that to happen, you should get a lawyer who knows the rules better than you do and won't waste time bringing up motions like this that are frankly pointless and never going to go anywhere.
If I don't do that, then freedoms are lost. So that is in which, that is the way that I proceed, to say, okay, well then, if we're playing cards and we playing show me yours.
Has he only been on the bench since 21? That's surprising to me.
This is your hand and this is mine, and let's proceed accordingly to the law. That's it. That's my only standing is, if someone doesn't stand up every once in a while and define the edges, then they all disintegrate and people lose rights.
And you know something? With that being said, I would agree with you 1,000%. That's why I pride myself, and I hope I'm doing a good job for the citizens that come in here and the police for that matter and the prosecution, that I am calling the balls and strikes right. And if something doesn't proceed as it should, then I will dismiss the case one way or the other. But in my short time on this bench and in my time at practicing law as a defense attorney, I get this, you know, they can't pull me over. I've heard the corpus delicti, first time the civil procedure has been thrown at me. But from from the way I see it, is that you just don't feel that the police have a jurisdiction to pull you over for these issues. Is that correct?
Do I have again, Your Honor, what I feel is that if we are following rules, that if I have to follow the rules, and every person out there, all of these officers, everybody else has to follow the rules. So if it comes down to it,
what I'm gonna hope that you do by the time you come back on the trial date, jury trial date is gonna be March the 18th, 2025.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're probably gonna have an audience because everybody follows me on these cases all the time.
I understand.
That's so funny. He's got to warn them. People follow the sobs at once, so they're gonna watch you.
All right, and I don't know if that's what you want, but we're gonna do that.
It's not that.
March the 18th, 2025. We're gonna have a final pre-trial date. Final pre-trial. This is to you, Mr. Bowman, especially the day before on February 17th, 2025 at 8:30. So Mr. Gray and Mr. Bowman, Mr. Bowman, I need you to have all your officers appear on that date. Who's ever going to state these allegations, so that we know that we're not just summoning the people of the city of Detroit to a jury that's not actually going to go. So all parties must appear, and that can be via Zoom. And the trial is going to be in person. All right. All parties must appear on final pre-trial date and obviously on the trial date. Now, and what I would implore you to do is you need to figure out the right game, because it doesn't sound like you're playing the right game.
I understand, Your Honor. I appreciate, first and foremost, let me say, I appreciate the dialogue. I appreciate you sitting here.
I appreciate the dialogue. He's more just explaining why you're wrong, but sure. Rob P5252, thanks for 3 months of Prime.
And engaging with me at this level. So I recognize what you're saying. And so yeah, I guess it's to the table we go. So
oh no, this guy has more confidence than is earned by any of this.
But get your game in order, because I'm just giving you a little heads up. If you come in with that game on the jury trial date, then more than likely you'll lose, unless you can find one of those jurors or a couple of those jurors or even all of them to have some sympathy for you, sir. I don't know.
I got a whole basis for understanding, and so
he's got a whole basis for understanding.
Yeah, if you
that'll do it.
Well, that basis that you outlined shortly today is not. What
was flawed in my what was flawed, Your Honor? What is flawed in my?
It was nonsense.
We already discussed it. The federal rules of civil procedure.
One sec.
That you brought up as a motion to dismiss, not the right basis. The corpus delicti, they do have a corpus delicti. They do have a crime that they say has been committed. And if you read the MCL, the Michigan court rules, and the Michigan statutes, then you'll see those crimes outlined there. They have them on the tickets. They got the statute numbers that are on the tickets. So that's not the right basis. So you're in a whole different ball game, and you need to come on to this ball game here.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I guess we will have that discussion again. I appreciate it. I also want to say I recognize and honor your compassion that you sit on the bench with.
Why is this almost more like, I appreciate that he's trying to be civil and he's trying to have some sort of like respect for decorum, but why is that almost more annoying to me than the people who are assholes? Like, why do it makes me uncomfortable, maybe because on some level you can tell he does respect the authority of the court, or at least recognizes it exists, but he's still trying this? Why is that annoying? That's weird. Like, by every metric, this is better than someone who comes in and is a dick. But it makes me more uncomfortable in some ways. Weird.
I see it as you go out here and you judge our people, and so for all of that,
maybe overthought. I don't know if he's being dishonest, though. He's just, I don't know.
Man, that's for where you sit. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
I appreciate
Yes,
that,
sir.
Mr. Gray.
Yes, sir.
You have a
Yes,
safe,
sir.
happy holiday season, sir. And
You as well.
best of luck to you. I'll see you back on March the 17th, 2025 at 8:30 for a final pretrial. And let me say this, let me add to
Yes,
the record.
yes,
If
Your
there's
Honor.
any motions, if there's any motions, those motions need to be in writing.
10 days, within 10 days.
Let's put that on the record to a motion. Those motions need to be in writing. Have those motions to the court by February 14th, 2025. And the response will be February 21st, 2025. And I'll rule on those motions on the final pretrial date of 3/17/2025. Again, all
Thank you,
parties
Your Honor.
must appear, Mr. Baldwin, all right?
Appreciate it. Happy holiday, Your Honor.
All right, you're muted, Mr. Baldwin. Motion date is a final pretrial date of March 17th.
Thank you.
Do you have anything to add?
Thank you, Your Honor, but let me make sure that my dates are correct, if I may. So the final pretrial thing is
and then they just confirm the dates. That'll be interesting. That's not going to continue until March, but I am interested to see how it goes, again, with that guy's at least acting nice attitude.
Becoming a banknote, a bond traded on the international stock market. So speaking of the birth certificate becoming a banknote, a bond traded on the international stock market, when it was registered into international commerce, speaking of that, I was actually doing the
I did get a notification that something was delivered, Harold Elvelman, so it is almost certainly that.
ABCD instructions for the rescinding of informant signature on birth record. So as a parent, you can rescind your signature. It's your right. You just have to know how to do it. So speaking of doing that, as I was making those videos, I was like, hey, here's something cool that people would probably really appreciate. You see that right there? That right there. In green over here is the parent's name. It says, hereby stand as belligerent claimant upon these rights and...
Okay, I'm already tired of this. I can't stand TikTok. I can't stand TikTok or the shorts format. It's like the vague idea of content. You know what I mean? It's like the Cliff's Notes versions of content, but it's not real content. Maybe I'm just a boomer. I don't know.
Just watch the link in the video of a guy who won in court and had his case dismissed. And you'll get to hear that one other guy that heard his case ended up getting his dismissed because he was also he was also driving without plates. And then come to find out there were 5 other people who were driving without plates. And all of them got their case dismissed. We're free. We don't need plates.
Incorrect.
This guy,
cases getting dismissed, whatever those reasons were for the cases he's citing, have no bearing on case law.
Proves it. So, watch the video. It's not that long. He tells you exactly what he says, or said. 2 case laws, or 3. 2 or 3 case laws.
Give the rundown, Trey. We're almost done for the day. So give the rundown if it's relatively short.
That got it all dismissed. And he served the judge paperwork for costs and fees for him being in there. So they had to pay him for having to go in there and defend his rights when he was not supposed to be in there, because he and all of us has the right to not have plates and all that other crap.
Not if you want to drive on public roads.
And before he went into that court, the cop called in and they knew that guy, and they told that cop, do not give him a ticket. And that cop would not listen to the authority that was above him. And he gave him the ticket, and he wrote on the ticket, whatever. He's going to take it all the way to the Supreme Court. He wrote that on the ticket. He didn't sign his name, I don't believe. He just wrote.
Heard it from a friend who. Heard it from a friend who. Heard it from a friend. You don't need license plates. Pretty good. Trey says, basically it's an allegorical story spread amongst, subsids and commonly repeated, subsits, I assume that's supposed to be, commonly repeated that a bunch of people were all in traffic court and that one of them said to solve said arguments and got the case dismissed, and then they all repeated, well, can we just do what he did? And the judge said, yeah, you can have your cases dismissed. So it's just like a sovereign citizen folk tale to bolster their beliefs. That's really interesting.
What is called positive chain.
Oh, yeah. This is Carl Miller. This is classic. This guy's like a classic sovereign citizen liar. Like, he helped really sell a lot of this stuff. He's old enough in the sovereign citizen lore that this was a video he distributed via VHS tape. Look at the quality. He didn't post this to the internet initially. He was selling this shit via VHS tape. That's how old some of this stuff goes.
He looks like a fool. You give the guy a ticket. Now he's got to go to court. So sure enough, we go to court. Come up before the court.
I just need everyone to know the internet isn't the birth of all of this stuff. It just created vectors of distribution that could never have been dreamed of before. But this stuff has existed.
Oh. Whatever.
That would be a fun tape to find. It would. The whole thing is on YouTube. I actually had that guy, ironically. I have the video pulled up. I was going to watch it today, so that's kind of funny. But, yeah. Yeah, it would be good to get an actual copy.
And said, I'm going to take it all the way to the Supreme Court. And he went into court, and he said all this stuff, and bam. He can drive without plates.
Are you telling me you think Santa isn't real, Trey? What are you talking about?
Don't need that stuff. They've been lying to you. And
people still have working VCRs? I have one right here! Look, it's the VCR. Look at my VHS tapes. Look at my VHS tape of... Look at my VHS tape of Chairman of the Board with Carrot Top. Do I have a personality yet? Is this a substitute for a personality?
And everybody else. They've lied to me until I figured it out. It's all out there, court case law. They don't enforce the laws. They pick and choose.
You love physical media? Me too.
What they want to enforce because they know most of the public is poorly educated or not even educated on how the justice system works and all of these court case laws that are out there that protects us from them.
I'm a
that
nerd,
has us
Phoenix. I'm a nerd. Not the other thing.
to be free under common law. So, watch the video. There's some words you can't understand because he talks a little high pitch. He talks real fast.
Will Kale, with a 65 stream streak, says 65 days of watching questionable people in weird VHS.
So you
hopefully there'll be 65 more.
Got to slow it down a little bit so you can kind of understand him. But
that's funny. I don't think the guy he's talking about talks fast at all. Let's go, like, watch him.
What is called positive change. And every time they see you and that goofy hat you wear, they go, oh, for God's sake, don't give that guy no ticket. I have actually...
He thinks this guy talks too fast to understand? Oh my god. I feel like I've been given an insight into a not great situation for him. That makes me sad.
Actually been pulled over.
You reap what you sow, Trey. Ho ho ho, you're getting coal.
Listening to the program. Didn't have no plates on my car. Policeman called. He says, you got positive ID on the guy? And a friend of mine was taping it off his police radio. He said, yeah, it's him. He said, well, for God's sake, don't give that guy no ticket. And the guy says, Sarge, he ain't got no plates on his car.
This guy be like, I am the very model of a modern major general. I've information, vegetable, animal, and mineral.
Said, I don't give a damn what he ain't got on his car. Don't give that guy no ticket. He said, but Sarge, he told me he's just been waiting to fight it and beat it all the way to the Supreme Court, and I wrote that on the ticket. He says, you give that guy a ticket? I said, I just told you not to give that guy a ticket. What are you, deaf? You got some problem with your hearing? He said, I told you not to give that guy a ticket. Now, why did you give that guy a ticket? He said, Sarge, he ain't got no plates on the car. I said,
Okay, you did say Santa's real, Trey. You said Santa's real.
I told you
I've slandered you terribly.
Here, what do you ain't got on the car? This is all recorded on a radio broadcast.
What are your thoughts on the square of the hypotenuse? They're very cheerful.
So everybody...
Did I see Blue's Flurford debate? I didn't.
Was laughing.
I'll have to look it up.
Police were laughing. Everybody
I am
was
the
laughing.
very model of a modern major general. I have information, vegetable, animal, and mineral. I know the kings of England quote the fights historical, from Marathon to Waterloo, in order categorical. I'm very well acquainted too with matters mathematical. I know how to solve the equations, both the simple and quadratical. About binomial theorem, I am teeming with a lot of new... with many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse. With many... Alright, let's see who we're gonna raid. If you haven't already, make sure you give me a follow on Twitch or a subscription on YouTube. I appreciate y'all very much. I'll be back tomorrow. Like I said, we're gonna be doing the patron and member-only live stream tomorrow. We will be also doing a normal stream earlier in the day, though. So let's see.
From there, the sled provides the pulling power for the 2-mile-long uphill section of the course.
Do I not follow this channel? I thought I was subscribed to a lot of the VCR channels. Guess not, though. Anyway, let's raid Forgotten VCR, I guess. I hope everyone has a wonderful night. Love you, Mr. Blast. The rest of you, I hope to see tomorrow or whenever you're available again. I know the holidays are coming up, so people get busy. But, yeah, hope to see you around over the next week or so, if you can't make it tomorrow. Have a great night, everyone! Bye!